Hello, welcome to Race Brain Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. Joining me as always, Jack Bauer, Bracken Crocker. Today we are going to be talking about the three different Hyrox races that happened over the weekend, and we're going to touch a little bit on the Spartan schedule that we haven't talked about that was released a couple weeks ago. If we have time, we're just going to have some fun conversations at the end, maybe creating our own little hybrid, goofy competition, whatever we want to call it.
It's in the works.
It's in that works. We're going to get there, and it's going to be well, BK, if we were to develop a hybrid goofy game situation, what would be our tagline? Who would we be trying to find? Who are we testing? What are we doing?
The goofiest around.
Finding the goofiest athlete to the
goofiest on earth.
Then we can't open ourselves up to ridicule.
I mean, that's not a thing either, right?
No, if we claim it and we just stick with it,
stand on it.
Like, yeah, hey, we said this was going to be goofy, and I actually sat down and wrote out a couple workouts.
Oh, so did you?
Yeah. So even if we don't get all the way to it, I want to see what the panel thinks about these workouts and kind of run through the beta version of them.
Yeah, let's fly through what you did this weekend so we can get to the goofy games.
So we can get to the good stuff. So let's start in Hyrox, Dallas. We had some doubles and teams competition going down, as well as some individuals. Should we start with the teams? Where should we start here?
You had a weekend. You've had 2 weekends in a row. This is like November is a good month for Rich Ryan.
I looked at Kent on our flight home, and because we're doing the RMR deal, I said, "Are we ever going to have this good of back-to-back weekends in the rest of the time for RMR?" It's like the first weekends we've
got
existed.
DECA Worlds coming up also. Like this could be a fantastic.
They're gonna bomb.
And Stockholm, Meg's gonna be over at Stockholm.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are coming together at the right time. We did the launch of the app systematically with our fitness. Like we did a progression for both things to land right on one spot.
What I'm about to say is going to be very open for ridicule.
Nice.
And so I partially stand on this. I think the 2 doubles records that were set are the number 3 and 4 most impressive Hyrox performances to date in the history of the sport, outside of the men's and women's world record. I think they're the next 2 strongest times in performances we've seen put up.
I don't think that's that crazy. I don't know if I'd number it 3 and 4, but they should not be taken lightly.
Who's 3? Who's 4?
I don't know, because I think you and Pelayo were like the sum of your parts was less than the whole. That makes sense. Or the whole was greater than the sum of your parts. That you two together did better than either of you two could do alone. And so that alone,
storm.
It was the perfect storm. That alone makes it an incredible performance. But we all know that mixed doubles comes down to how well can your female run.
Right.
And that alone makes it hard to not say that what Meg did was the most impressive thing all weekend. But but she can do it. She's already the record holder.
Right.
But you and Pelayo, I think, outkicked your coverage further than she did. She did what she did excellence, what she always does. And you guys went further beyond what you normally do.
Like if there was a Race Brain-esque podcast predicting how this would go, say in the UK.
Race Brain or something.
Something like Race Brain. What would it be called in the UK? What do they call it? Like a noggin? That sounds like a
race
word.
Noggin. Yeah.
Noggin nook.
Noggin nook.
I don't know. I don't stand on that.
We're beta everything today. Everything is a test run today.
Yeah.
If it was Dylan,
the cranium carriers. There we
go. We're again. No bad ideas in brainstorming. No bad ideas. If it was Dylan Scott and David Magida versus me and Pelayo, people would probably pick Magida and Dylan, right?
I thought you two were gonna win.
I wouldn't have.
In the UK, I'm saying, not this Race Brain.
Oh.
If from the outside, like looking at it from, because
yes,
Hyrox doubles is different than a Hyrox.
We'll never pick you in the UK or anywhere else.
They love me in the UK.
If you're discussed in Europe, it's never positively. You're not getting picked.
I love this last. I'm telling you, they. But like in terms of name recognition, what those two may have done. Like Pelayo and I, we finished better than them the week before, but that was one time. We weren't at Worlds the year before. So if you think of like, oh, these 2 athletes are probably better than those 2 athletes at Hyrox, But doubles is all about the running, right? The weight is so much lighter, and it's really what you can do on the runs that is going to make a really solid doubles partner. The same way BK said, the mixed doubles boils down basically to how well the female can run. On the men's, it's like, can you get two fast runners in the same course on the same team? And that's what we did. That's what we had.
Well, you said it, and I said it after Chicago doubles when we were talking about like some of these really stud men's doubles teams that didn't go much fast. This is dangerous. This is crossing into bragging about our own times territory. But
all right,
what you and I did 9 months ago was not far off what some top 10 men in the world have done teaming up with each other. It was better than some of them. And what we said it showed is the difference between being really good at Hyrox and being really good at going highly anaerobic back and forth. Like doubles, you get to dip in and out the whole time. And Hyrox, you cannot really. Right. And so I think that's what we saw is you and Pelayo both can have the high end. And that's really important.
The thing that I kind of made the analogy to, it just pretend you're in the NBA and sometimes you have a couple superstars team up and they don't always do better than the two players who just mesh well with each other and they have a similar skill set that, you know, like a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is not necessarily, you know, even in the top 10 best in the league and never really was probably, but the two of them as a tandem, you know, had a ton of success despite not having like a perfect skill set. But that's kind of how I see you and Pelayo. It's like two very, very solid athletes, but combine them and you guys are going to dominate
in that race,
in this format,
in this style of race. Yeah.
Your running was matched so well.
And that was kind of the plan going in was basically it was, so for the double strategy, this is something that I think we kind of figured out on the fly is whoever Pelayo would finish his stations and he was planning on leading the runs as well. But what turned out is like have the person who finished the station run like the first lap so they can get their bearings. And then I would take it and just push it to the point where I felt I could perform well into my station and he was going to have rest. So you can kind of overextend on the run and then come in and recover a little bit into the station and then kind of do the opposite on the back end. So we kind of figured out a strategy really solid at the end too. So
that's kind of what you and I did, Bracken, where it was like, if you were the last one heading out of the zone, I let you kind of set the tone. And when you were feeling a little bit recovered, it's like, all right, we'll either work together. I'll let you stay in the front or I'll go to the front, but we'll keep each other accountable to go a little bit faster on the second portion.
It was fun to watch. I tuned in. I was glued to the iPad.
On the second half?
No, the whole thing. I watched
the whole race.
The whole race was on?
Dylan streamed it, yeah.
Yeah, Dylan.
Oh, he streamed Kent and Matt.
No, you. Someone had his account streaming the entire race.
Oh,
yeah, I saw coverage.
This is what D1 Nats were supposed to. Coverage started at the same time, but D1 Nats didn't start until like you were crossing the line. Essentially,
I haven't caught that.
Perfect.
I haven't caught that yet. I'm gonna have to catch up on
good races.
Was it?
I heard the women's race was
double
really
fisting
good
this weekend.
Oh, that's
D1
amazing.
Nats, Hyrox, back and forth.
It's a visual we need.
Yeah. So, and the doubles record was something that other athletes have really gone after. I mean, Hunter had the record broken by Sandy.
A couple weeks ago, he tried it.
A couple weeks ago, we tried him and Win, and they fell.
They're not slouches.
They fell short. No. And Sandy and Tim had the record before. And the one thing about this course, I mean, it wasn't like set up to be a world record course by any. There was so many people, and we did like this powerlift heat. So it was the third heat of the day for doubles. And so there's already two doubles heats out on the course. And then right after mixed doubles started right after us. So it actually got like worse as it went on, not better. So we didn't have a clear running path the entire time. So there's probably time out there, maybe not a ton, maybe that helped us kind of chill, but there was a lot of zigging and zagging and screaming left.
Weaving reminds me of stadium races where like you kind of have to pick your line and stuff.
It's kind of fun.
I was gonna say I actually enjoyed it. Like it takes you out of your perfect stride because like you can't just get in that rhythm, but like going around the corners, you might have to make like a quick little acceleration because you see a pack of 5 wide and you're like, I got to get inside them or I'm going to get boxed out. And Bracken, you would run wide sometimes. I'd go in the middle. And I thought it was really fun doing it as a team. But watching the speed that you guys were doing it at, it's a different level.
Little sketchy.
I knew you guys were in trouble from a course perspective when they lined everyone up. And there were all these teams next to you that I've never seen before. And this one guy steps to the front, puts his arms out and starts going, just standing here, chin up,
taking it in.
like,
It's about to
nodding.
happen.
like I
They're
don't know
playing
who
its
you
walk-up
are,
music.
which means you're supposed to be in the front line, because at this point there's no surprises in Hyrox.
Right.
And then right away off the line, 2 of the 4 teammates got caught in the wash.
Yep.
Like, one of you and one of Magita's team, I forgot who it was, but like right away I think Pelayo had to like, I was like, oh my
Pelayo
goodness.
got out in front. He was looking back for me. I was like, we're good. Just go. We'll be fine.
Right away, people were just in it for them.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a long day.
It was a really hype start line though, because everybody in there kind of knew each other, and it was just all dudes just going nuts, just bouncing off of each other. It was great.
You've got a couple opponents, Dylan and David, who love trash talk. What was it like in there?
Oh, it was amazing. It was to have them. And this is what I thought for Worlds, because Worlds doubles is on a different day, right? So there could be a lot.
You could have half a dozen people at various points next to each other, like
It'd be
competing to be the first off them. Yeah,
it'd be insane. Just with those two, it was too crowded. Just with 2 teams going next to each other, it was like we were bumping into each other, coming off of like burpees or the row.
You need a lane in between.
But like, it's not enough. You kind of do. You probably need to make it a grid. Honestly, that's probably the way to do it.
Yeah.
But
you guys had the perfect setup to break a record, and that you had a team that was pushing you for like 2/3 of the race, and then you got away and finished with momentum.
we had to
That
run
is
away,
exactly
run
how
for our
it's-
lives.
Yeah, that is exactly how a time has to be set with company, right into the point where you make a decisive move and you're terrified.
And that's the thing. We had to run a world record to win the race.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it was really like, if we were by ourselves, I don't know, because it got a little ugly after burpees, but then we were able to really regroup after the row, and our running kept getting like better and better. So
It was cool to watch.
Was there a point where you were like, oh crap, this is so fast? Because I'm sure you're basically running at or slightly faster than your DecaFit pace. That must have felt like, oh boy, we're in uncharted waters right now.
the runs felt okay, but it would be like the sled push was still hard, even though it's like open weight. The carpet or the sleds, however they put them out there, weren't moving that well. And and then coming out of burpees, it was like, okay, this is a lot. But that's kind of what I was thinking before. It's like, this is a race to the rower, because then each of us are going to get a 1.5 minute break.
Oh yeah,
or so. And it really did work out that way.
In every station after that, you get enough rest to actually rest. Like
Mhm.
lunge reps, even if you only do 10 steps each, which is about what Jack and I were doing. 10 walking lunges
I did
is enough
14.
time to actually rest.
Mhm.
And then burpee broad jumps is not.
No.
Fast
Neither is
reps
sled
is
push.
not enough time to recover from going fast on the burpee. So you come off both of those just smoked and thinking, I did have to work. How is my smoke? But you're smoked.
Yeah, you're right. Like, in coming off of lunges, like, you're not beat like the way you would be in a regular one. Like, you're not so blown up, as it is just fast, and then you get good, decent rest. And then it was basically just burn it down until we got to wall balls. So it all came together. Pelayo's on
And you
fire.
went unbroken?
No, I went unbroken in the relay. I did 70.
Oh, really?
And was feeling good, but our plan was to do 70-30. Like, so we
Are
swapped
you
it up there.
top 3 or maybe even the best male wall baller in the game right now?
I mean, if it's just like a race to 100 wall balls, like, probably, but after an hour of racing, that doesn't seem to always work out the way that I wanted it to work out. Dude, in that relay, they gave me a 20-pound ball when it was supposed to be 14. That was what happened. And I didn't even notice and then when someone said something around like 60 or 70, he's like, oh, he has a 9-kilogram ball. And then I was like, oh, I feel tired now. I didn't feel tired before then.
Dylan is your hype man right there.
That was awesome.
Give him that 9-kilogram ball.
Fuck out of here. But let's go over to mixed with Kat and Meg. And really on paper, right? Like hasn't been necessarily a super team who's gone after the mixed doubles the way that there has been for the male and female. I mean, the female record is Meg and Michaela.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, only who's going to beat that? Just Meg and Lauren.
Meg and Lauren,
right?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't even know, because sometimes it would have to be like
A really good runner.
A really good runner who could also do stations because they would need to have a reprieve. So like if there was someone
Rebecca
like
Hammond or something, like if she
that's
came
a great
back,
one.
yeah,
I was gonna say someone like me, like someone who can run and do some stations as well. But on the women's side, it seems like the best runner is also the best at the event itself. Is also the best at the station. So if there was someone in the middle there who could run with Meg, but I don't think anybody is that.
The combos of available men who could set a world record, depending on skill set, is much larger than the pool of women who could do it, in my opinion.
It seems that way.
Same for the same gender, just because Meg is going to be part of it, and who's going to hang with her, like, just doesn't really happen. You can count it on like one hand who can keep up with her in the hybrid space.
It'd be cool seeing Lauren and Rylan go against Kent and Meg at Worlds. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be great. That'd be a good team. Yeah, for sure. That would actually be a really good team. And but so we haven't really seen the super team on the mixed side. The record holders before was Tim Venish and a woman who's not necessarily involved in Hyrox. So I think it was like she ran, Tim did all the stations. When you have a partner like Meg, like Kent was able to give her work, right? So it wasn't like Kent was doing everything. So like Meg pushed the sled, Meg pulled the sled, Meg rode, she skied, she did every bit of every station as much as she could.
Yeah.
And was really able to do a little bit less so she could focus on running and hang with Kent. And Kent was not taking it easy out there. He was like dropping her. Like the first run was out. I was like, this guy. So like they really went after it. Kent got fired. Kent was worried that he was going to get dropped by Meg a couple of times. He was like, I'm happy that I didn't get dropped by her on the runs. That's how Kent came out. So that's the kind of athlete we're talking about with Meg.
And I think that's the perfect setup, that the guy should be on the ropes in the back half of the runs.
Right.
That means that you're dividing up the work correctly. And how big of a advantage is that to be able to hand off like lunges or something to Meg and not lose pace? That's just a huge advantage, because anything you get out of her is a reprieve for his running, but you're not losing time. It's not like, oh, I got to hand off and we take what we get. No, you're going to get a man working next to you in terms of work rate.
I don't think that there's any drop off on certain zones, like wall balls at the end. And honestly, I would have been like, go ahead, take it, do as many as you want. Which
she did 70.
I was going to say, I think Ken
right?
basically like, just you finish it. But there, like, if you're talking the ergs specifically, I think that makes sense simply because you can move 10 to 15 seconds faster per 500 for that. So maybe do 2/3 of it if you're the guy. I'd say probably close it if you're the guy, so that way you're more compromised heading out, and then Meg or whoever your partner is can catch their breath before she starts the next run at that point. But overall, other than that, like lunges, wall balls, everything else, burpee broad jumps, like trade off as is, they did a really good job.
So that's a record that is going to be very hard to catch. I mean, they broke it by what, 3.5, 4 minutes?
It was like 55.
Slaughtering.
Yeah.
And it's either her with someone else or Lauren.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the options.
Right. Like her and Hunter could do well. Like,
right.
Like someone like that. Sandy or something.
They're like 3 or 4 men options.
Yeah. Like the people who are at the best at the stations and can still run some would be her best bet to have a partner. Yeah, or Rylan and somebody.
Kent is basically one of 4 people.
Exactly. So it was really fun and exciting to see them throw down but just like murder and really like put it out there, right? Like they didn't have to go as hard as they needed to go, but they still did, because they're just competitors, right? They get together, they're fired up, they're in it for the team. And that's what makes these events so fun, is that you are in it for a team. So you do things that you don't want to do. And it helps. For me, that was a big like eye opener. It's like, oh, okay, like there's more here when it's not just me on the line. And that's the best part about a relay. We're all relay guys.
Well, I think Bracken does them all. Yeah.
Jack, you were on the best. You were like on the best 4x8 in New Hampshire.
Second best. Yeah.
Got like 825 or something like that.
8 flat .07. We were decent.
Oh, my bad.
He's a guaranteed second place in a relay. Guaranteed.
Whoa. I don't think I'm the reason we got second place that time. No, actually, maybe we are.
Either way.
Yeah.
Second place. I can only go by my track record.
I ruined Bracken's perfect streak. Yeah.
BK, I think
you've never lost a heat. How about that?
There you go. Always the first to cross the line. But
yeah, I think Kent, they smacked.
They were like a couple seconds ahead of us, right?
Yeah, they were 3 seconds faster than us, I think.
But if we were in that race, we would have been there. If we would have been giving them something, right? We
You
had
were
ours,
hamstrung.
We had ours locked down. We had ours locked down by that point. If we were in a race, we would have given that business.
If I'm doing doubles, what does it mean? It means I'm not healthy or fit enough to do open. So that is exactly the narrative for every team I've ever been on. It's like, oh, I have Bracken. He's going to do better than his fitness says, but his fitness is probably not very good right now.
BK, you were All-American on the relay?
On the relay.
DMR?
DMR.
What were you, 12?
12, both years.
Lead off, too. You're not letting the team down
Nasty
at the
leg.
lead off. No chance.
I shat the bed the year we were All-American, and I rocked the house the year we took last. It evened out. Like I earned my All-American status 2 years after getting it.
What were your splits on the good and the bad day?
Bad day 309, good day 301.
Okay, so if you went 301 on your bad day,
We would have won nationals.
You would have won that. Damn.
Yeah,
Really?
we were winning nationals until our handoff to the miler, who had not run slower than 411 that year, but had just run a 151 in the prelim 15 minutes prior. And our coach crossed out our alternate spot on the card and made us hand it in to show confidence. He's like puking after his 800.
Did you have a guy who could? You probably could have put somebody else in.
Anyone could have run like 415 to 418, and we would have taken second. We were on national record pace through the mile, and he went out with them, ran with them for 3 laps, and then faded and like walked it in, and we took dead last.
Dang. Shoot.
So it evened out for
nasty.
me. I just felt like, hey, now I'm officially a quarter All-American.
You're in there. Relay guy. That's the moral of the story. Let's talk about that.
309, embarrassingly slow. 301 is like on the edge of acceptable.
Very
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, it's 60 points.
Came
So
through in 203.
Damn, kicked hard.
Mm.
Goodness.
Not 202.
Okay. Still a good kick.
That's enough.
Still a good kick.
Yeah.
Let's move along to the pro division at Dallas. Start on the women's side. We had Lauren Griffith finish in first, 66.46. Maria Fasik in Fetchik, I think I heard it called 67.37, and Katie Simonson finishing in third in 68.31. Lauren Griffith ran like 64 and change.
Yeah, it seemed about 2 minutes slower this time.
It was a bit slower. It was definitely slower than Chicago. Sleds were not moving the way that they were in Chicago.
Did you feel the same on your race as well?
Hell yeah. I got in there and started pushing it from my shoulders, like with my hands, and was sliding with the open weight. I was like, okay, never mind.
So not what I signed up for.
And I wore the Endorphin Pros just because they felt so good on that concrete, man. It feels great. I'm gonna try to rock them for Deca. That's what I'm gonna go with.
I think you should.
Mm-hmm. And so that's notable. And so the times are a little bit slower. Nobody's really breaking into the even close in the elite 15 on this. Chris Rogloski, the 2022 Hyrox World champion, opened up with the 71.11. Obviously not something that would be up to her standard, but she's really not that far off of where she was last year. She opened at like a 69 high, like later in the season, like a month or two later in the season. So she just had like 6 stations and just ran out at 2 stations. So,
and she did World Stuff as Mother 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. As much
I
as
don't
we
care
want,
who you are.
right?
It's not out of you yet. Even if you feel like it is, you're not your best.
No, that's exactly like as much as we want to think Chris is this bulletproof athlete who can do it all. She can do it better than basically anybody else in the world.
She's the closest we've seen to that.
Yes.
But everyone
still
is mortal at the end of the day. They're still bound by human limits, unfortunately.
I'm working on pulling up the men's, and it's giving me a mission. Okay, there we go. Gunther Klaus finishing at the top spot. He's in Texas, so kind of a hometown race for him. Is 64.29. Not his best. He's a 63 low guy. Joe Kilmer was 64.52.
He did an extra lap, right?
Is that Joe's time was all screwed up?
I saw someone mention that in one of the group messages right before I hopped on this call, and that if that's true, that's a fast time for an extra.
Because they had him as like a 59 something, and he's also a 62 guy. I'd be surprised if he ran 59, but it's not out of the question.
Because he's like a 32 and change for Deca also, so like he's definitely legit.
He's good. The back half of his, like he was a 203 on the farmers. That's not. I mean, that's probably not going to get you under 60. 349 on lunges. I mean,
yeah.
But everything else like seems like he was in a pretty good spot. He was under 4 in all of his runs. I don't know what we're talking about. Like his time got all screwed up.
Yeah.
But it looks like he ends up with a 64.52, and Gus Menke, not sure, 65.04, finishing in third there. So again, nothing incredibly notable here. A couple athletes that we haven't seen, in particular in the Texas area, opening up their season. So
how weird was it that pretty much everybody who's a household name in Hyrox decided to do teams? Like, was it less pressure for you? Was it more fun? Like, just curious the mindset going into it, because I know you guys are going to deliver regardless of if you're doing solo or a team race, but it seemed like everybody was just like, here's what's happening. And even in Europe, where there were some people going for the team records as well this same weekend, right?
didn't happen.
Didn't happen, yeah.
Not even close.
And they could have got it first. They could have held it for like 7 hours, but
Well, the thing is that we don't have these opportunities. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
And they had all the records, and now we had one opportunity to run relays and teams, and now
you do it.
we have all the records. Okay.
And you can't even blame it on the U.S. women being the best in the world.
No.
Dudes took it down,
The men took it.
and we've been stinking it internationally.
It's too bad you didn't get to do it in Chicago on that course.
Oh my
Because
god!
those sleds were flying and the runs were open.
Those straightaways, me and Plyo.
It certainly didn't have an atmosphere to it like it looked like Dallas had, because you crammed people into a tight box. It's going to be electric. But you could just open up in Chicago.
Yeah.
You two would have been just hauling.
And it's a little bit more
Boats.
space to operate. You know, we were passing people around turns. And I think after a while, people did kind of understand what left meant after either they were told to move to the right at one point, or they heard someone else get told, because second half of the race, people were moving out of the way.
Yeah.
But I was still
most
having
people
a
are
screen.
most people, if they're not understanding what left means, it's just because they've never been passed by someone moving that fast, because they usually start way behind a single starting race in like a road race. So they're probably like, what's left? Oh, maybe do I move to the left?
Right.
Then they'll figure it out.
They're just not expecting to hear it.
Yeah.
You know?
They're not used to seeing a freight train like you and Paleo coming right behind them.
Move out of the way. Should just hit the horn. Let's move along to Barcelona. We had I don't know if the venue is the same, but this is a race that has historically been extremely fast. Not the case this past weekend. Harry Thompson running 60.21. He's been under 60 on a UK course in the past, which aren't necessarily fast. Sadiq El Fatouri was 61.07. He was about that.
He's been about that in the
Madrid.
past.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Eugenio Bianchi. Jack?
Bianchi.
Damn it.
Bianchi.
Bianchi was 61.
Yeah, look at you trying to one up.
37 out there. Ruben Petino was also in this race. He was 62.35. Jose Salma, who has been in the Elite 15 in the past, was 62 something. Alphonse was way down. He was 63.39.
Do you think his is because of traveling back?
A lot, man. That's not a race I would have done.
No.
I can't think of a worse thing I'd like to do than travel across the ocean, do a Hyrox, travel back across the ocean and do a Hyrox. I don't want that.
You mean what Ryland did?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't want to do any of what he did other than the positions. The glory would be great, but the process, that'd be terrible.
Totally agree.
So Harry, with his time, I mean, he had a fast sled push. It was like a 2:32. Sled pull wasn't super fast. Was a 4:06, but then 3-minute burpee broad jumps, and then the runs kind of suffered from after that. So pretty typical when it comes to the European style of racing. And now the European sleds are not fast, so they're getting punched in the mouth by pushing these things in 2:30 something, and it's not advantageous for their races. Yeah, like Eugenio, when we were in Madrid, was like 2:30 something. He was 3:12 and then 5:21. So these Spain sleds ain't it anymore.
It's crazy how the continental divides in race strategy matter now, because it used to be like, we're going to fly through the sleds and we can rest on the burpee broad jump and then get back to work. And now it like you're punched in the mouth on the sleds, but now we don't have that burpee broad jump skill and tactic that the US had to embrace and work on. Like everything is flip-flopped. The strategy is not the same strategy this year. And an outsider might be like, it doesn't matter, just work. It does matter. It's a different event right now. That
Change the
they're
race.
competing in.
Change the race.
I would say it's similar to how Rich described the teams in the past. It was like, let's just get to the rower and then recover that, because they could just fly through and not be affected by the sleds as much, and then do manageably well enough on the burpee broad jumps, and then you've got 4 minutes on the rower roughly to catch
Sit
your breath
down.
and tone it
Heart
back.
rate
And
comes down.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. But it's not the case anymore. It's a different world.
Nope, you get waxed on the sled push, come out with a decent time, sled pull suffers, burpee broad jump suffers, and then your race is over. And these guys keep dropping out. This happened a couple of times. That there was someone I think in this race who dropped out. Eric Woodward, who's good, who won a race earlier this year.
Yeah, he won a race from the slow heat,
the Poland race.
Yeah.
We've said it before in the past, last year when we were talking about why we think the sled differences matter, but I'll reiterate, it's not just that it's harder. It's that he just spent 2 more minutes on the pole than he's ever spent before. So it's not just like the effort, it's the duration. Like if you have to work the same amount of difficulty, but you have to do it 50% longer, you enter a whole new world you've never been in before of destruction. And then now it makes sense why some people are dropping out or just struggling back half, because it's not just that they had a bad station. Yeah. It's still hard, and it's 2 minutes longer. That's unheard of.
Right. Because every pole is that much more difficult to move the sled. So you're working that much harder to overextend.
And then it gets exponential. Like your last 2 minutes of poles are worse than the first 4 minutes of pole.
Oh yeah. Right. And then what's it do to you mentally, right? The intangible of that. We had on the women's side, Kate Davey raced again. She's been racing quite a bit in this fall season. She was 67.34 with the W. Jasmine Wanek was 67.49 from Ireland, and Jezebel Kremer, who we've seen race quite a bit, was 67.55. So they must have all been neck and neck going right in.
Balls, yeah.
We saw Ida open up her season. Ida Matilda Ruben Steensgård. The names just keep expanding.
You're nailing it today.
68.21. We saw, come on, bro. Eugenio. Then we had Anche also open up at 68.54, down in 7th. She was in the Elite 15 last year. So this race was pretty deep in terms of athletes on the women's side. But again, time-wise, 67s, that's not going to cut it this year.
Ida, I feel the same way as Chris. Like something has to give in your season somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. And it's probably going to be sleds and wall balls. And maybe weighted lunges. It's just, you can't be ready for everything. And so to go 68 and be disappointed is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a good debut if you're not in like what we've seen is you can't play Hyrox.
Right.
And so if you can jump in and play Hyrox and be pretty good, that's a huge win for you.
I think not an issue. I mean, this is a testament to the athlete that she is. When she opened up her lifetime debut in Hyrox, she ran like 64.
Yeah.
Right. And just hasn't been able to replicate that. And that was when Michaela set the world record running like 65 in her first race.
Is it alarming this year that I think it's only been Camilla, Lauren Griffith. Are they the only two who have broken in? And like Lauren didn't have a bad time. 62 is still a very, very good time on the women's side, but it's like, you just haven't seen the fast times this year necessarily.
No, I think
Yeah.
Most of the races have been Europe, and the courses aren't the same this year.
Yeah. That's this time. I mean, because we've only had 1 or 2 U.S. races now. Chicago's been the fastest race of the year, hands down.
No,
so, I mean,
it's normal, Rich. It's normal.
That's just how it works. We haven't talked about Amy Bevilacqua, have we?
She's the 50-year-old something who just destroyed everybody.
She ran 66.04 in Chicago.
Yeah.
So she's sitting in 19th overall in the Elite 15 ranking. So she could very well catch a roll down for Stockholm. That'd be amazing.
That's wild.
She's the Heather Golnick of Hyrox.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe more impressive, but I mean, yeah, probably. Right.
Well, I mean, I'm
in terms of worldwide,
like in the teens overall.
Whoa.
Hold on.
I thought you said 19th.
No. Audio is, you're being hacked.
You're going crazy. We're going to have to boot you, restart you, unplug, replug.
Spy satellites overhead.
Got aliens out here. Aliens in the soil. Yeah. Got to figure that out. Might have to. You doing stuff? All right. See you, bro. All right. Let's move on to Hamburg. Well, let's just look out, be on the lookout for Amy Bevilacqua. She's been really crushing it. She ran that race that I ran in Madrid. She was going after the age group world record, and she fell a little bit short, but then she came out and really showed out for like 66 and 50 plus.
How did she miss the world record for age group?
Right?
Although
that's
not
Spain
her age
Madrid.
group, right? Just overall age group, or her Spartan in
Her,
particular?
her age group in particular.
Yeah, how does she? That's weird.
There's been those fast courses in the past. There's like
Yeah,
these,
that's true.
you know, like it was probably somebody from Barcelona or Hanover or Maastricht. Yes, Hong Kong. Who knows? Probably not Hong Kong.
Yeah,
probably not Hong Kong.
Yeah, when you have like a 2 to 3 minute outlier, it's tough.
In Hamburg, we saw Robin Stenke take the W in 61.09. I mean, these are not fast courses. I think this is one of the first courses in Germany this year. Then Yannick Hoffman was 63.25. Tom Hogan opened up his season at the 63.44. Yannick Zeppla, his time was ahead of mine. He was like a 59 something at Hanover or somewhere. He opened up with a 63.52.
This course is 3 minutes faster at this stage of the year of a European course last year.
Very well. Like, yeah, I think that's fair. So nothing really happening there. Tom Hogan, worth note, coming back into health. I know he was injured. He's coming back 63 something. It's an okay opener. We're assuming these sleds weren't very fast. Let's take a look at these really quick.
I'm going to say if he's coming off injury, not knowing his fitness, and it's not a fast course, 63 is a very, very encouraging opener.
Definitely. And he's like 40 plus, right? Like it's going to take him a minute to come back.
Yeah, you're not coming back like a spring chicken anymore.
Yeah, man. These sleds for the winner for it was like 302 push, 408 pull. So over 7 minutes total for both of those. So like
that doesn't over 7 doesn't win races typically.
No, not even really in the United States historically. So that's what we're seeing over there on the women's end. And this was a race that we had Florian Gast, another Elite 15 athlete, run and drop out of. Like this is just something that's happening. I think people are really focused on the times and like overly and like checking their splits and then bailing out. Sika Arning was 66.05. So good time on the women's side. Simone Feld, 69.0, and Anna Blank, 69.28. So pretty solid at the top here. All Germans in this race, interestingly enough. People are opting to go to somewhere like Spain. They're probably not going to anymore. They probably don't need to go to Spain anymore.
Turns out the key to fix everything was just give it another year for the carpets and sleds to get older.
Exactly.
And we're set.
And we're going to see what happens when they bring this new equipment at the beginning of the year. Like,
is it just... Oh, yeah. Never mind. I understand what you're saying. I was thinking, they just bringing new stuff like new carpets to the majors, but you're actually talking about Thor's company.
Yeah, new sleds, new wall balls, new sandbags, new ropes, new everything. So, I mean, as the year turns, the times are going to get fast again.
Or
not, or maybe not.
Who knows? The ropes might be like really, really plasticky.
They probably will super be slick. They're going to be definitely slippery, I would imagine. Is Jack gone for
glove season?
Jack, hey, always glove season. You know that. You know that's the case.
Got gloves on right now.
If we were to replace the sleds with a barbell, I had a conversation with the homie Marcus Wallace about this. What would be? How could they kind of replicate what we're getting from the sleds in terms of destruction and separators for the strength athletes? Instead of doing the sled push and pull, because this is going to be impossible unless they buy torque tanks, right? Buy torque tanks, put it on those carpets, and then just like
double the distance.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't even know if it would. I think those sleds in Chicago probably move faster than what a torque tank could move over the course of 50 meters.
Because you got momentum going.
Yeah, like the torque tanks don't go faster, right? So like. It would be kind of lamer because it wouldn't necessarily add an element of strength. It's more muscular endurance again, which they already have. And then maybe it just gets a little bit redundant. And like your weight doesn't matter as much, your size. So like it would mean the strength athlete would be a little bit less.
So would you do a yoke carry and like a deadlift ladder?
A yoke carry could work.
what are we gonna? The yoke carry would tax the quads the same. How are you
You
gonna
don't get you don't get as much as that is. I mean, it's like an overcoming is isometric. It's not like an eccentric, but I guess you don't get that on the sled push. You don't get a eccentric. On
I can't think of a 1-to-1 yoke carry and something.
Problem with yoke carry is the height, right? And that's what we saw at the Alpha Warrior. They just were like, we're setting this up for the low.
Okay, so I'm thinking like literally yoke carry with a yoke with a flexible attachment to the weight. So you get under it, you squat it up off the ground, and your height, you're like it hangs 2 feet or 3 feet or something, like how they had at OCR United States Championships or North America. It would have to be something that's scalable or adaptable, and the really only way to do that is make the yoke short. That you have to like.
But that's a disadvantage to the taller athletes. They're squatting,
or it's pre-racked for you. I don't know. I don't have a good. What was Marcus's?
Well, it was more my idea. I'm bringing up that I'll bring.
What was his answer?
Where's Jack at? So when we discussed it, it was like I think front squats with a barbell, like do 30 of them, do 10, drop it, roll it, 10, drop it, roll it, 10, be out. And I think the weight should be like.
Well, that looks super. Oh, okay. You're not saying just barbell.
No. I have.
You meant that's gonna look so lame.
It would be incredibly lame. I think it should be like 185 for men, or 205, something heavy.
So it'd have to be some ladder-based movement. You could do rope climbs,
but that's not strength. That's more skill. I don't think that helps the strength athlete. Because that's everyone's like complaining about now. It's like, oh, if these sleds aren't going to be heavy, so that means I'm going to have to be fast, and I don't want to get fast. I want to be strong. So,
yeah, how's that working for them?
That's what I mean. Like at a certain point, you're going to have to put that work rate out. But
I don't know what else exists out there.
Because you can't do lunges the same way. I think that the front of it could be a front or back squat. I think the barbell is a way just to keep it standard. Right? Like it's not going to matter what's underneath your feet. Like it won't, like a barbell is.
It would be standard.
And the barbell is about the same price as probably cheaper than a sled. And they already have the bumper plates. They have them all, and you would need less bumper plates than what you're already using for the, so it could actually add like lanes. You know, you could probably make the heats a little bit bigger somehow.
If just do a orientation bike. And then a hand bike. If you wanted to blow out upper and lower. I don't like it. That's not a good answer. You go all in on ergs. You could have every erg under the sun.
I don't hate the idea of the yoke, but I just think it'd be tough to have it standardized by height.
Yeah, unless it's just for grid. And you have your lane.
And you have it set. I
don't know. I don't have a good answer.
Other than that, could be thrusters. Like 135 to 155. Right. That's redundant with wall balls.
Which maybe they should. I mean, the wall ball is a cool
wall balls
look.
They need to stay in.
Yeah.
And that blows people up.
That's how I keep coming back to with burpee broad jumps is there's a million issues that are happening. Like watching doubles, there were bad burpee broad jump violations again that aren't called, but it's a visually stimulating station. And so I like it. It won't be the same with burpee bar jump overs.
Right. It won't be the same. Race. Right. It's going to be, that would be easier to standardize, right? Because that is an issue. But I think 30 front squats, 185 to 205 for men, and then like 120 to 135 for women. All right, Jack's restarting his whole situation.
I think maybe the answer is you just do away time altogether, and then you don't care about standards. Like it's only finish place.
Right.
That's the only way into majors, and the only way into worlds is to be top 5 or whatever. Then sleds don't matter. You get a fast course, slow course, it doesn't matter. You just got to win.
What happens when we start to integrate new and old equipment? Like if they don't buy 50 new sleds, if they buy 10. And now every lane is different.
Be a non-starter, right? You just can't do that.
And then every lane is different because every lane is kind of different now, even still. And then like you could do that thing where you're pulling on it, and like you got that thing that measures what the pull, whatever. I'm not speaking this language well. Yeah. And then you got to do it on every lane, and every lane is weighted different. Like no way.
Yeah. So, I mean, still the answer to this is to do this at a stadium on turf. That's still the answer. But even on turf, we've all been on enough turf to know that turf isn't uniform underneath either. There are
No.
lumps and divots. And so I don't know.
And then I think if they did deadlift, same thing, come around to deadlifts, same thing, 10, roll it, 10, roll it, 10, and then make it like 275 and like, what would that be? 225?
And see, that's one of those things that like
205?
I think part of the draw of Hyrox is that even though it's strength-based, it feels really functional. And it feels like if you're not a lifter, you could still come in and do something.
Mhm.
You can't just walk in and deadlift 275 30 times.
Got to work on it.
Whereas
You
you
can
can come
scale
in
it.
and figure out a sled.
But you usually get worked if it's your first time, if you haven't been working on it.
But you're going to finish it. There'll be people that just won't finish the deadlifts.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
And the work rates would be so dissimilar. Like let's use me for an example. I would be considered low end of any pro field right now, but I would be in the mix somewhere, even if it's the back mix. And on the sled push, what am I going to be different from the best sled pusher?
A minute.
On deadlifts, if every single one is 1 rep, rest, reset, I could be 3 minutes slower.
Mm.
So not that I'm the example that matters, but there are a lot of people like that will be, you're going to see gaps that are tripled on a deadlift ladder versus a sled.
Initially, but I think, don't you think that once people get behind it in training, that will improve?
The top end, certainly, yeah.
All right, let's see.
You can also train for a sled without hurting yourself. You're going to have a lot of, Goombas out there who are just going to have to like, oh, I'm just going to do 275 for 100 reps every day. And they're just going to destroy.
That's what people do on running. People get hurt.
That is very fair.
Running, no matter what.
So I guess my summation of this is that I can't fix this and I don't know how.
We need a barbell. Give us one.
Sleds are still the best option.
Price effective? No.
And it's everything. Hyrox, if you had to think, I said this last year, if you had to sum Hyrox up in one image, it would be someone pushing a sled.
Someone pushing it way faster than someone else in the same lane.
How's the audio, guys?
Hey, Jack.
Great.
Okay, good. I had to restart my computer. I was troubleshooting everything, and I'm sure when I listen to it on YouTube, it's going to sound like I'm an alien, like you said. So
yeah, he was like, yeah, alien soil.
Okay,
going crazy.
Alien soil.
All right, well, we'll catch you up on a conversation we just had. We can't reopen it. We can't reopen it now. You'll have to drop some notes in the YouTube caption, in the YouTube notes about what you think about our previous conversation when you weren't here. Okay, Jack, boost us up.
We'll do.
Done. Let's move along to the Spartan series. I guess worth noting, next week is going to be Hyrox Stockholm and DECA World Champions. We drafting?
Are we drafting? Yeah. We're gonna have to do both of them. We're gonna figure out a format. Remember how we do World's Toughest Mudder and Hyrox same exact week? So trifecta. Sorry. Yeah. So we've done this before. We can make it happen. The people seem to like it.
We might not have to. We might not be able to dive into the mile and strong. I know you want.
I agree.
To.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do some other gimmick that only we will like.
Prop bets.
We do some prop bets.
Yeah.
If you tank at DECA Worlds,
who Jack?
You, Rich Ryan.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
I'm not trying to incept this or even saying that it will or could happen. But if you bomb, have you made a mistake by not going to Stockholm?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard to do another. I don't know. Probably.
You would have had to skip Dallas.
But that was totally worth it. That's a highlight. I feel 100%. Better after Dallas than I do after Chicago. And now I'm excited for DECA because I got some high work rate stuff in. I'm going to just chill in the stations and just run as hard as I can. I'm going to see if I can get under that 17 minute, 1750, 1650.
Just run with Rylan.
That's a good way to be conservative.
Yeah.
It's a good way to store energy. I'll get him later.
Is he the female Lauren?
Potentially. Maybe. I mean, it seems like it.
Just goes out crazy.
And just has that.
He has this thing figured out where he hammers the run and then hammers the stations. And it seems to really work out well for overall time.
Yeah. He's just pretty good. He's just doing good at all the stuff. He's just doing good at all the stuff. So we'll figure out some sort of
Yeah.
preview gimmick. We'll
Stay
definitely
tuned.
draft something or other.
And then we've got Spartan Worlds recap, and then the Okras.
Okra,
The most important weekend of the year.
This is really one of our last down weeks.
Yeah.
Great. Let's talk about the Spartan series. We're going to go through what they've kind of announced and what that kind of means and project that. So who is more equipped to lead us through this conversation? Because it's not me.
Start it off, Rich. We'll correct you.
All right. We're starting at the home of OCR, Jacksonville, Florida. No, that's not good. Let's take it from what happened last year and how they've changed it.
I was going to say there are some differences. I know we're going back.
We don't just have to go like right into the schedule. Let's talk about the differences.
Okay.
Let's go 2 years back and like give the whole history of where we are and now how we're at today.
As a dispassionate observer who has no opinion on the matter, I feel qualified to step in here.
BK, you're up.
So Spartan had this thing going, right? Where they would have this long series with a lot of crazy different events,
out of
world
order
championship that happened at altitude in the mountains, and people loved it. And then they decided, let's give the people what no one asked for, and we're going to get rid of all of that. We're going to take our championship and put it in Abu Dhabi in the sand, but we're going to keep it a beast distance, and our series will have nothing to do with that. And then that wasn't quite enough for me. So now we're going to slash it again. We're going to get rid of all the events that people like, and we're going to make it 3K distance.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put it on Friday. So it's hard to get there. No one can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people are physically or mentally equipped to do well or enjoy this series. And then we're going to have a 3K championship, but we're also going to have a beast distance championship, but no other distance throughout the year. And before this championship has even occurred in year one, they've already axed everything for next year. And that is the first good decision they've made in 2 years. Even though it sounds like a terrible culmination to the season, it was the first step of saying, I'm finally not going to act like I'm pot committed to doing worse. I'm going to just cut my losses and go all in on doing things the way we used to. And so now moving forward, we have this new series that's been proposed and ratified with a sprint, a super, and a beast, culminating in, you guessed it, a 3K and a beast and a TBD shorter course championship. So we can leave that part out for now, but they've gone back to a more traditional series. It's shorter than it's been ever, but it has one of each distance.
Shorter in terms of number of events, not distance, because they've had sprints before.
Correct. So they have a sprint, super, beast. They all count. They're not mandatory, but you're going to have to do all three to do well. And that's the end of my little pitch here.
I love that idea. I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna start making a series of poor decisions and then undo all those poor decisions to make one, so I can have one good decision under my belt at least.
You're not going to like what I'm about to do. So I'm going to spend 3 years making that thing look way better.
Oh, I thought you were about to drop a bomb on us, Bracken.
No, just that's a business strategy.
Smart. I mean,
we're going to regress slightly. Let's regress a ton.
Thinking outside
raise the
box.
bar back up to that.
What are people not willing to do? And let's lean in. We're outside the box here. I like it. That's like innovative stuff.
But we like it now. We're back to a Spartan that this is kind of what the people asked for. Not entirely, but it's the closest we've had in years. And we applaud Spartan for doing the right thing.
It has the old progression where you start shorter, get a little bit longer, culminate with the beast, as opposed to mix and match. You do have 2 races at altitude, but I don't know. One's a super, one's a beast. They're kind of in the early ages, you always had Palmerton as like your notorious one. You had Tahoe. You had your known courses, Breckenridge back in the day. It seems like Jacksonville, Big Bear, and Utah are like the 3. West Virginia, I might throw in that mix in terms of like the modern notable courses. So I guess it makes sense that they went back to it. But these are like your benchmark courses that they've gone to year after year throughout the series. It was like this in 2021, 2022. They had those all 3 races in it, I believe.
Could you take us through them, Jack? Could you just take us through like the venues and the dates?
Yeah. So opener, I'm gonna guess this is a Sunday because it's a sprint and they usually have the super on Saturday. It's February 25th in Jacksonville for the sprint. The super for Big Bear is on May 19th, which I believe is the same weekend it was this past year. And Utah, July 20th is the beast. So that's the third and final race. And then, as Bracken mentioned, the Pan American Championships is 2 months after Utah in Seattle. September 13th, we'll have a 3K. And then September 14th, we'll have the beast. So you have two separate championships, short and long, for your Pan American Championship. It will repeat for Abu Dhabi sometime in December. They didn't give the official dates, but it's probably going to be the first or the second week again, where you'll also have a 3K and presumably a beast for the championship, which is like what they're doing this year. I'm going to guess the prize money will probably be a little more evenly split instead of 3K heavy like it is this year. But those are the plans currently.
And then a TBD alleged shorter championship somewhere not Abu Dhabi.
Shorter than 3K?
No, shorter than beast distance. They said a shorter distance championship weekend. We don't have any follow-up on that. That may just disappear, but
yeah.
Do we need it? We don't need that.
So if you look at it, the first reaction, Kirk and I mentioned this, it's just not exciting as people who live flat to see 2 of the 3 at altitude. But then if you take the Pan Am is now what we're calling it, championship, the regional championship in Seattle, now 50% of the important races in our
60
nation,
because you've got 3 out of 5 now. If you
count
count
September,
that 3K.
nice too.
Technically, yeah. So now suddenly it's at least even. It doesn't help you for the series, but for all the available races, 50-50 is about the best you can ask for in this day and age of non-altitude to altitude.
And it's not a surprise, right? To have these altitude races. It's been like this for, like you said, BK. It's been like this for 5 years, 6 years at least, where it's going to be altitude heavy, and climbing heavy. It's just kind of the race it is. And if you want to do well in it, it's like, you just kind of have to pick your spots.
The venues are good though. Like Utah is a fantastic venue. Like it is much different than Big Bear is if you're talking an altitude race. Like you have to deal with the heat. And I know that altitude and heat is definitely harder than cooler with heat as well. Big Bear does get hot later in the day at that time of year, but I don't think it's going to be like identical every single time. And Jacksonville is the complete opposite. You're going to have muggy, muddy, wet, most likely earlier in the season. Seattle, probably later season version of that. Although Seattle probably is going to be nice at that time of year.
Yeah.
Or miss, but
you're not sure.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that Florida and California have very strong boards of tourism who are spending money to get events in. And I don't know about Utah, but it's a ski town, which means they're doing whatever they can do to build revenue in the summer. And so in order to put on an event in a struggling financial climate, they need to bring in money. And one of the ways to bring in money is to make money before you even start the race through the board of tourism, which is going to bring you in for a fee. And so the fact that we're going to see some prize money and a series is directly related to where can we put on a race that's going to pay us to be there. Well, so if you have an issue with the venue, just realize that we wouldn't even have a venue if they weren't paying you to go. So we kind of are at the mercy of who will bring us in for that.
These are good venues too. I mean, these are they're good. These are all good spots.
Bracken, let me add on to that. So a year or two ago, I looked into which venues were actually the most like well attended, regardless of series and stuff. We're just talking the Sunday sprint, whatever, and every single race throughout the US calendar. And Utah actually was the #1 most attended race venue if you look at elite plus age group. And most of the time, the two of those comprise of about 20% of the total participants. The rest, 80%, are in open. So that's just kind of universal across the board. So if you're seeing those numbers in elite and age group, you're probably seeing the same in open as well. Utah and West Virginia were the 2 highest attended. So I think that
bigger than Fenway.
Very, very surprised. States I'm talking.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think Fenway is going to get diluted a little bit by the Barrie, Massachusetts one. And, I think that there's only one race in Utah, so you kind of get what you get at that point. But yeah, Utah, phenomenally attended. And then all the population centers are on the coast. So it makes sense. Have one in the LA area, have one in the Pacific Northwest, have one in Florida. Like you've got people.
What the heck, dude?
Oh no.
Come on, dude. Well, I like the span of the series being 6 months, February to July. That makes sense to me. Where in the past, where it's 5 races, it ends up being closer to 9. So that's not great in terms of training for the athletes. I like that Seattle is in September, a couple months after the final series race, which finally makes sense, having the championship after the series. And then September to December for Abu Dhabi. The season in its totality is still way too long, but it's at least it's spread out in an appropriate way, I believe.
It's now to the duration and the frequency where you can be fit for all of them. Which, if you're going to have a 10-month season, at least give people time to be fit for them all, and you can be fit for all of these. And I also like that. What do I always say? I get mad when we don't know what we're testing. This tests everything. This series tests, you either test all of one thing or let's test it all. And this series really does test it all. You're going to see probably the most well-rounded athlete wins the series, which we don't always, I mean, oftentimes the best athlete happens to do well at everything when it's an Atkins or a Hobie, but this is, you're going to have to be good at both sides of the coin.
There is one thing that's causing me a little bit hesitancy, getting excited for it. It's the same exact weekend as the opener is the same exact weekend as that 8-hour Tough Mudder in Saudi Arabia, where they're offering $480,000 in prize money.
It is crazy.
And a lot of top names have already committed for that.
Most of the top names.
If this is a mandatory participation, which you'd imagine, since it's only 3 races, it's like,
it's not mandatory.
It's not.
At least age group I've seen, it's not mandatory, but since there's only 3 scores, it's essentially mandatory.
Yeah, we're talking like, you know,
you can't drop a race in this race series.
Yeah,
I would say
score is your score, but you're not disqualified.
Yeah, you've seen, didn't Botras commit? He's won World's Toughest Mudder. You'd imagine he'd be very dangerous. Yeah, Atkins, Rylan, Lindsay's going to be over there.
Alvaro is the only one left.
Alvaro.
Yeah. We don't know the prize money yet for the series, though, right?
We do not. Which, again, I take as a positive.
Yeah.
Even though if you flash back 4 years, that's not a positive sign based on a recent track record. I'd rather them wait and see what can we afford to do and then actually do it. So then the other thing is Hyrox Miami is the same weekend.
Right. So you don't want to go to that one, though.
It's indoors.
It's a different one. It's at a convention center.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's
so
in Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
It's split between 3 legit competitions all on the same weekend, which means anyone who does want to do Jacksonville, baby's wide open.
Get in there.
VJs probably should branch out and do the 8-hour. Get him out of there.
Jack, let's go. We'll go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, let's do it. It's got my name in it. I better do it.
I'm just going to watch. I don't want to do that stupid race.
That's like a week from DC Spartan also. Or,
1 week prior.
Hyrox, right?
1 or 2, yeah.
1 week.
March 2nd, I thought.
Or 1 week, okay. Oh yeah, February's short ass month.
Shorter.
I was doing a lot of schedule planning this weekend. I'm on top of this schedule.
He's in it, man. He's in it. He's projecting. He's working backwards, seeing where his fitness is at. It's gonna be ready to rock.
4D chess with schedule making.
Absolutely.
The 4th D is smell. Just so we're on the same page.
Tactile. So, okay, cool. Overall, I think this is a step in the positive direction. Like you said, BK, overall, we like it. I don't know if a 3K for Pan Ams and for Worlds is necessary. Is there another place for people to do a 3K other than the championships? Or is that just like
Seattle and World Champs? Yeah.
So maybe.
Not announced.
Maybe. Hopefully they do give us a 3K in Jacksonville, in Big Bear, and in Utah, just for the sake of giving the athletes who will most likely want to participate in a championship the ability to qualify, right?
Yeah.
To qualify in practice.
They basically gave everyone 3.5, 4 months heads up, which realistically in OCR is pretty nice. For timing. So
usually it's not till after Worlds, right? And
even if we don't have all the details about prize money and everything, like people can be like, Jacksonville, if I want to do the series, I've got 100 days to get fit for it. Like, you've got time. And I think that that's a big plus.
Round of applause for Spartan on this one. Great job, Spartan. You did so good. This is
except for their points scoring. No,
let's talk about this.
Let's talk about
it real quick, Jack. Let's talk about it real quick.
I mean, Go
ahead.
ahead. You describe it. I'll critique it.
Oh, I don't know. Isn't it just points, like a
Points,
standard point?
first place, but it's not your normal points, isn't it? 23 for first place.
Yeah, well, how do they
points
get
for first place?
Yeah, the Jordan number. Why do they? Why
I
not?
don't understand that.
You ever seen the movie 23? The number 23?
I've seen 24.
It's everywhere. It's the most
Is it
important number in the
24?
universe.
Is it
I thought
23?
42. I thought 42 is the answer to everything.
That might be. Jim Carrey said just 23.
It's 23. I didn't see that movie. No.
Nah.
I don't know if you're missing much.
Okay. Don't go.
But-
Don't.
But
run it
it's
back.
as arbitrary as putting Jim Carrey as the title role in a horror thriller.
True.
Yeah.
So to me, that makes sense. So there is some
Well-
precedent for this.
Yeah. When you look at it, first place 23, second place 21, third 19, fourth 17, and then all the way down to 20th by 1. So the first 3 are separated by 2.
And then just one. Or in the past, it's been 100, and then it would be 20 some points different, right?
It would be 300, 264, 240, 216, 192, 191, 190. Like top 5 were
No less
differentiated.
arbitrary, but those
Yeah.
are 300 sounds cooler than 23.
And at least, well, this would make it very difficult for an athlete like, say, Lindsay, who you'd expect to win and maybe make a comeback in the later races, but without that big point spread, it's
Yeah,
just going to be difficult.
Let's say Lindsay
There's only
misses
one reason. Like, what's the perfect score for a series?
69.
Yeah, and that's only thing I can
Nice,
come down
dude.
to is that someone's giggling somewhere. Like,
And it's us.
No one's
Sick.
gonna catch it.
what
I
is the
love it.
outside world gonna think? Like, I scored 69 points this year. And they're like, oh, so did you lose by
Yeah.
31? Or
Right.
was that 66 more than a perfect score?
Right.
Like, what 69 doesn't scream athletic score, like in any way, shape, or form. It's like not a score you see anywhere in sports, except maybe college basketball.
Yeah.
I just
No,
don't know the correlation.
Jack, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm just looking at it for someone like Lindsay or anybody who's going over to Saudi Arabia for that first race. So the most you can make is if you win the next 2, you can get 46 points. So in theory, if you get 5th, and 5th, you get 48 points. So someone who gets 5th 3 times is going to beat someone who wins 2 times, and they could presumably be 2-0 head to head against that same person. Like it's flawed.
Severely, but it's happening.
I know.
And they could change the point system still.
They should. No one's raced.
Now, as
Just make it all
let's
stage
take
racing.
a theoretical person who
Stupid.
doesn't want to run mountains or altitude, and all the good mountain altitude runners happen to be the best endurance athletes, and they're all not going to be at the first flat one. To that person, this is exciting. All the people like that will go out to Jacksonville and get their best first score, and then they just have to survive the next 2. It'll get more people to the series, I think, with hope, but it really screws over the top people.
What?
Why not?
What,
Well, go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say one of the things that we've seen in the past with the hope point, a lot of the times you see a ton of people show up to this first one, and then the second one, you still see the same amount. And they're like, I'm not going to earn enough points in the
Right.
series. I'm not sticking with it. Now you've got people who are there.
Yeah.
Makes Utah worth it.
Easiest to fix, because Spartan owns Tough Mudder, and they're going to put it on the same day, and they're going to cannibalize their own series. The easiest fix is to make it a 4-stage race, and your regional championship is the culmination of your series and counts the same, or has bonus points to it even,
You
but
offer more
I don't-
money, but still get everyone to Seattle.
or even an extra like 10 points on every score for that one, or for the podium in there. Like, make it part of the series, encourages people to race all of it. Otherwise, it's like the series is done and over. I don't know why it can't be part of the series. And I think that it would benefit the Abu Dhabi participants to have 3 more options out there, including the biggest race count the most.
Let's say they just don't make the payout very valuable for the series, and they make
Yeah.
the payouts for the actual races themselves. Like the Big Bear race is more than the payout for the series, right? Like give $5K for the a
Yeah.
series race win, and like $1K for the series total. Just make it not really anything.
Which from the beginning, I've been more of a fan of. I've
Like
for
invitational
years
style.
wanted the series is just a series of races. There's no money for doing well in it. Let's just pour it all into, because at the end they give away these tens of thousands of dollars with people getting like $700 or $800 each, but it all adds up. I'd rather just pour that into the individual race. It's a series, but like you don't get anything for doing well in the series. It's just more money at each race. I like that idea anyway.
Hopefully that's what they do, so that we do see the big names still go. And then they're not like, oh, I don't need to go there because I have no chance for the series, which is what's more valuable. Because that's really not going to play. Because if you're positioned to go to Saudi Arabia versus Jacksonville, you're going to go to Saudi if you have a shot. You get second place, it's like 30 G's.
I was going to say, have you seen the actual prize money in that? Like the breakdown and teams? And
we should have put together a team.
Oh my God.
And there's 2 and 4 member teams. Like just throw a dart,
10K.
choose one of them and hope to get lucky that people do the other one.
I could do a 4-person team, 2-person.
We can, I mean, you Rich, you can run for 8 hours, I'm sure.
Not well.
Not
well.
See him in Carolinas?
Not well, man.
It's not going to be cold, wet, and muddy.
$80,000 for first place.
It's crazy.
And 32 and 16, 7,500, 5,000, 4,000. Yeah, you crazy.
You're dumb not to go.
The age group winner gets 37.50.
That's ridiculous. Maybe I can go to age group.
4-person team, $40,000. So 10,000.
Right.
So not person team. It's like 20, right?
20.
2-person team, 10,000 each.
Still 10.
Get Kirk, get 4-person team. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be any good at 8 hours.
No, neither.
But if you're any good at it, go do it.
It's split up between the 4 of it. How would it be? How it's 10K loops, I think.
Just divided by 4. Yeah.
We could do 10K at a time and then have
taxes are pretty favorable over
3-hour
there.
recovery.
You do that.
I think it's not relay. It's
4-person's not relay.
Then what kind of team are we talking about?
It does
cross country style.
Run together. So you're fastest, your slowest person.
Tough Mudder historically has been 2 and 2.
They usually do relay, right?
They have both, but oftentimes, like Albin and Atkins, for instance, when they went 105, they were neck and neck.
That was a 2-person.
Yes, that was a 2-person.
2-person does the whole thing. 4-person alternates laps.
Yes, they had the like Chad Trammell and Glenn and like a few other people doing that. I don't know if they're on the same team, but
how is it a team if you have to run together? I don't understand how that could. I mean, that's my problem with Hyrox too. Like, why was this? How is this? This format makes no sense.
Relay makes more sense.
The 2 is a team
or
like
cross country,
a duo race, and the 4 is a 2-person relay.
If that's the case, you're gonna have some fast 2-hour, 4 by 2 hours, basically.
Yeah,
that's no problem.
It could be an hour a lap.
No problem.
I can do that. Yeah. And they're Tough Mudder obstacles usually aren't even that hard, and they're gonna be dry in the desert.
They're hard when they're cold and wet.
Right. At World's Toughest, I'm not doing very well on the obstacles.
No, those are difficult. And they kill you.
Dry.
Got this.
Gloves. You wear gloves in the desert.
Receiver gloves.
We're talking of the 2018 America's Midwest tougher mudder 10-mile champion right there. Is that you?
2018?
18 maybe?
18, baby.
Yeah.
Gave everybody that business. Everybody was over wasting their time in West Virginia. I'm over there getting $2,500
holding off Michael Bailey, right?
Playing in the mud.
Yeah, is that your biggest win? No, DECA.
And OCR.
Biggest prize money.
Yes, because that was 3. That was 3.
Yeah. Hey, he's got Hyrox majors this year. Don't count him out.
To date, only to date.
Yeah, to date.
That's correct. Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to add on with the Spartan series?
We just need more details. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah, but overall we're happy. Three thumbs up. Do we 6 thumbs up? Do we each get 2 thumbs in this? Or we each get 1 thumb?
I give him a thumb and a half.
Thumb and a half. Are you just like bending it or like?
I will give.
No, I'm going to give 2.
I'm going to give full 2. Yeah, I don't see how this could be that much
If it wasn't for the point structure, I'll do 1 3/4 thumbs.
I like that it's shorter.
How many digits? How many knuckles do you have on your thumb?
The same as you.
Okay.
I wish
it'd be tough to give a 3/4 nut.
I wish it was stage racing.
I'm talking like here's a half thumb. Let's go like here. That it's almost all the way up.
A 3/4? No, you don't get a 3/4.
They should put on 1 stage race this year in every continent leading up to trifecta. Just 1.
Why not?
That would be good.
Do it at West Virginia.
Where would you do it? West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah,
has to be.
Show.
Has to be. But even if it did that, then Lindsay would be right back in this mix. She could start literally 20 minutes, or how long is Jacksonville Sprint's going to take? 35 minutes. She could start 35 minutes behind.
Not with Nicole back in the mix. I don't think it's going to be that.
She could start 35 minutes behind and still win Utah and still
Beat
cross
Nicole
that
by
line.
35 minutes.
In
I
a
don't think
trifecta
so.
weekend at Utah?
No. I was just saying, like,
guaranteed.
well, she would get time. She would make up time in Big Bear.
Yeah.
Make up probably 10 minutes. And then she'd have
10 minutes in Big Bear?
On a trifecta
10
weekend.
minutes. Not a trifecta weekend. Straight up.
Oh, you're saying straight up? That's disrespectful.
She literally, Nicole beat Lindsay by like 8 or 9 minutes in one rate in Alabama. That was like a super.
She was
We're not
flat.
running Alabama.
I know that, but we're running pretty similar with Jacksonville. I don't think she's going to be that far behind.
I thought Rich was saying trifecta weekends.
Nope.
I'm not on board this crazy train. Nicole,
Lindsay's-
come on, that's
Lindsay's the
disrespectful.
goat, dude.
Let's get that nonsense out of here, and then let's talk about some real nonsense.
Let's talk about some nonsense here.
Yeah.
So, what time we got? We got about
Got
30 minutes to be
half
goofy.
an hour-ish.
All right, so we're getting extra goofy here. I wrote down a bunch of notes talking about goofy. We should do we'll do goofy games, and then one day we'll actually try to be like legitimate, trying to find like what we think would be a fun hybrid event, but not this one.
Nope.
So let me pose a question to you guys. If we were, let's like build it out into categories, right? Like, what are we trying to test? BK, that's what we're always trying to do, right?
No, that's not part of goofy games.
Well,
you can't test anything tangible in a goofy game.
if you were to try,
Okay.
let's list off a couple things, because I listed off maybe 8 to 10 things that we could realistically be goofy about in terms of testing.
Okay.
What are some things that we could do? Let's start naming them off.
Must involve a ruck.
Yes, I think I had
Weighted carry.
loaded
carry.
running.
You have to fight. If you don't do combat, this isn't goofy.
Combat for sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've got my event already.
This is what we think, not necessarily what we've seen.
Oh, well, then none of these.
We're designing our ridiculous event, right? Because I have like some crazy movie scene planned out.
I guess I need one clarifying question. Is this satire?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes.
Usually
Then
you don't-
weighted carry.
Yeah.
Usually you don't like tell people it's satire. That's kind of the whole deal with satire. But
No
we're
one
just
knows
gonna
it's
go out.
satire.
We're
Edit
just
that
gonna
out.
go.
Edit it
We're just gonna go
out.
out and lay it out. Be
Well,
like, yeah,
because
we're-
you just said this isn't what we've seen. This is what we think, which pulled the rug out. I thought I suddenly have to be very serious.
Well, we could
Yeah.
do both. It could be things that we haven't.
We're
seen,
starting the
things that we
goofy
have
games.
seen and things that we haven't
Yeah.
seen.
Rich already said
I have one offering in my mind for each.
Okay. Go on.
No, I don't
You
think
do or
it's
you
time to
don't?
tell my
Are there-
full event.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I have 2 full events planned out in my mind since we started talking
Okay.
90 minutes ago.
We're going over the core components. I think it needs to be invitation style also, because why would you let people just sign up? That's kind of how it's been.
I think by application only.
Yeah.
And
By
then we get to bring
application,
in any
combat
invites we want.
carry. Yeah.
We should let people apply, but then not let them in, and then invite people that we want in.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll just invite influencers in, people who would be good for our brand.
I'm personally, for mine, going to have, I'm not going to call it a pipeline because that's derivative, but
It
I'm
is
going to
not.
have an aqueduct style system that gets people down into my games that only is there
You're on a
for
raft.
disinformation.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bunch of tests that people are going to read too far into. They have nothing to do with our game.
Great.
But it will, once you get there, you'll realize what the double entendre was for getting there. So
But
the
it will not
aqueduct
be
system is
revealed
going to
until
be
then.
misleading, but you can't get in without doing well at it.
It's like doing a bunch of swimming, and then like the only event at the games is a 1 rep max snatch or something, where it's like should have been prepared
With a
Yeah.
water-based weight.
Well, yeah.
Water
Water
water.
jugs. Yes, sir. Slosh
Yeah.
pipe with water jugs on the end.
Yeah, so it's going to be
Most
adjacent to the aqueduct pipeline.
Okay.
That's like some Dave Castro shit, like trying to give
Good.
hints that make no sense and be
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
see, good. I like that. That's great.
It's super goofy.
Okay.
I had wilderness survival as
Yes.
a bucket that we could
Cool.
cross off.
Yep.
Yep.
I had
Scoring is not revealed.
no, definitely not.
You'll know if you're the winner afterwards, but we won't tell you because they never.
I
give
don't
away
think
their
you should be
scoring.
that bold to know you're the winner.
No. Like let people think they're the winner, like and
not
just
about
debate
winning.
about it after. Yeah.
It's not about winning. It's not about the score. Just try harder.
Okay.
I have real life application.
Mhm.
which I have an event for.
But it has to be a very unlikely situation to ever occur in real life.
I think it should be very likely. I think it should be like extremely practical.
Okay. I think we can do one of each.
We can do one of each.
Yeah, I was going to say
because I haven't yet seen a real outside of carrying a rower to a mountaintop to row. Outside of that, I haven't seen a real, truly life application from one of these games.
You never know. You never know when you need to rip a 10K.
Yeah, because you might get caught in a flash flood and you got to row your way out of there.
Dude, you got to get the training in that day. All right. What else? I had some like running while thinking, like mental resilience, along with fitness.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing multiple events, right? We're not just doing one single spectacular event.
No. I have 7 events.
I actually believe in saying this, that no matter how ridiculous the event may seem from the outside, it has to be designed in a way that everyone there actually has a really good time and enjoys it. Because that's kind of like the hallmark of this.
Maybe
everyone leaves these goofy games fired up about them and instantly gets mad at everyone who hates on them from the outside. There is a us versus them mentality that needs to be cultivated.
I actually
just brainwash.
Competing in them would be super fun. The stuff that we've seen in the past, I would not compete in my event once you hear the details and stuff. But I think that
in one of mine,
maybe in one of mine, I would.
All right. Is there anything else, or do you want to try to get into the events?
Let's get to it.
Lead it off, Rich. You wrote some stuff down.
I have some things written down.
Where's yours held?
Undisclosed. No, it has to be like varied terrain. I think somewhere like Southern California honestly would be good, or like a Hawaii I think could work really well.
Mine's in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
One of mine's in the jungle.
The jungle.
Yeah. Just
there's one jungle.
Undisclosed jungle.
Yeah.
Costa Rica in my mind, but it doesn't really matter.
All right. So this one we touched on briefly last week. This is, I'm just going to call it the Ruck and Spell 10K. So that nerd pumping round.
The nerd pumping round.
Totally going to do well at this.
So every kilometer. So you start with a 20-pound ruck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every kilometer you have to spell a word. You get, Jack, how many qualifiers do you get? You get the language of origin.
Yeah. Use it in a sentence. And you got to repeat one of them if you forget the language of origin. I think it's
but only using the natal phonetic alphabet to communicate.
Smoke signals to your friend.
You have to spell it with sign language. Yeah.
Every word you spell incorrect, 10 pounds get added to your ruck.
So you could eventually go up to like 110 pounds if you keep
screwing it up.
Jarrett Newby's just going to spell stuff wrong on purpose and then still whoop us.
I don't know what his spelling prowess is. I don't know where he finished in the New York State spelling bee in 5th grade.
Not 6th.
Not 6th, probably.
No.
Probably take the under on that.
New York State? I thought this was your district, Jack.
No, Massachusetts State.
Oh, that's Massachusetts. Yeah.
There's 6 million people who live in the state.
Most of them live in Boston, and they're not spelling
I
very
grew
well.
up in Lynn, which is 15 minutes from Boston proper. It's considered a suburb of it. But anyway, Rich, more details. So what's the distance?
10K.
Distance 10K.
Okay, so
10K.
This is just one event.
One event.
So you're saying at kilometer 1, everybody just stops. There's a judge there, table. They're like, spell, I don't know, onomatopoeia, and then you have to do that. If not, now you suddenly add a 10-pound load in the next.
You got to load it up.
One judge per person.
Loop course or
do you get in line as you get there, and there's only one judge, and you got to get there first to get out first.
No bottleneck. Everyone has a judge.
Okay.
The words. There's the words will be categorized in terms of difficulty, progressing in difficulty as they go, or do you think it's just be all hard? So everybody doesn't get the same word because we don't want people overhearing.
No.
Unless you did it with headphones on and a whiteboard, you write your answer.
Jack, do we want whiteboard or do we want just out loud?
I think in true spelling bee form, you need to say it out loud. We're not writing.
I'm differ on Jack this.
Yeah. You can use your like hand jotting the notes on your hand, like pretend type thing to like spell it out in your mind.
You can't erase.
You have to. You're like on stage basically. I'd know.
Okay, that was my first event to kick off.
Should we grade it? I think it's a fantastic event.
Let's go on. Goofy. How does this grading system work? Is it like athleticism, like mental, like in our buckets, right? Like it's like a 0 in terms of wilderness survival, or maybe not really. If you're running with a ruck has a little bit to do with that.
Mm.
In terms of goofy, or is it just goofiness? 1 to 10 in terms of goofy.
I would say that's a solid 9.
That's
and I'm like
a
a hard judger. Like in dunk contests, I think they should have half grades and stuff. I don't give out 10s on stuff. That's a very good event, Rich.
Yeah, that's pretty goofy.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
And practical.
I would propose that we have a party bus for all the spectators with free drinks, and they follow along and heckle the entire time during the spelling bee. Like you're there with signs and you're yelling. You're like a free throw crowd.
Keg of natty ice in there.
Yeah. I propose a party bus to follow along the course.
Oh, another thing I think that is should be part of this is how unenjoyable it is to watch, like from a spectator point of view. Like the worse it is to spectate, the better it is for goofy games.
Yeah, I think there's a requirement. Having spent as much time as anyone on YouTube watching things on the treadmill, there's like a minimum number, and I think there should be a drinking game for this for the spectators. Minimum number of times that the commentators announce that this is the type of competition that it just finds the best athletes on earth. I heard Dave Watson say a sentence in the Jacksonville coverage yesterday, which was mind-boggling in nature. And I noticed it on everyone. It was something like, and that's why this is the #1 sport in the world that, in my opinion, is creating the best athletes.
In my opinion, is probably creating the best athletes.
But that's why it's the #1 in the world at what he's about to think. And everyone you watch, they say this is going to find the best athlete. And so you have to declare it early and often.
All right, Bracken, what are you giving?
Okay, so my event then is.
No, what do you grade Rich as?
Oh, I don't care. Like it's a solid 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't fight anyone. You didn't kill anything.
Do the words get progressively harder with spelling? Like round 10, like you start with cat, and then like you're gonna have to earn your way.
Harder than cat, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
they definitely get harder.
An example.
They definitely get harder.
I like it a lot. I think the way you could culminate that is in a wrestling ring, having to spell while wrestling.
We got 7 events. We don't need to. We don't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just like the idea of the spelling and under
Let's go snake style. So we'll just go back to back like afterwards. So yeah.
Okay.
Go Bracken.
Okay. I do like that. All right. So for my event, we are going to test true survival skills and actual endurance. So what I want is you're going to get a ruck. And you start in some location. And what you have to do is you're going to run this. You have waypoints along from here to, let's say, the top of a mountain and back. But along the way, you must forage, hunt, and gather 3,000 calories worth of food. And you have no way of knowing how much it is. And you can't return with more or less than 3,000 calories in your ruck.
You forage peanut butter or something. Forage olive oil.
Once you have it, you have to keep going out and back until you get it. Now you can find like maybe 4 squirrels and that might cut it. Or you might have to find like 100 pounds of wheatgrass. I don't know.
3,000 calories is a lot of calories.
Yeah,
it's a lot of calories.
If you ever watch that show Alone, like squirrels are like 120 to 150 calories. Yeah. You're going to need a lot more than that.
At which point, and I would propose this is the first event of the day. This is now your only sustenance for the rest of the event.
Ooh,
this is your fuel moving forward. So you have to choose why. Like I would recommend grub. You can take them down without water. They're very nutrient dense. Like you're going to want something, but you're not going to know until after you've gathered it that this is now the only thing you can consume for the rest of this day-long competition that we have going.
You definitely hit the wilderness survival. Wait, how do you end it? It's 3,000 calories for time.
3,000 calories for time.
Okay. So you hit the survival skills. You hit the.
And we'll have like locations like on the map. Like you're not going to have a good map, but it'll be like this is vegetation dense. This has streams in it. This has meadows. Like you get to decide where am I going to source this. A little bit of orienteering, but you have to come back with exactly 3,000 calories. Decided upon by Karina Coffin, our nutritionist, at the finish line. Non-negotiable.
I don't hate it. I like that it leads in to the remainder of the
It's
event.
like a buy-in.
It's like a buy-in. It could take a long time.
I agree.
Yeah.
It may take a very
But
long
we've
time.
seen this version of coming back with a quantity that you don't get to actually measure.
Is there a
in the
cap?
death race and in World's Toughest now.
How's that?
Like they used to have to come back with a bucket. They had to fill a bucket with a spoon in the death race, and then they had to come back and be the exact amount, or they had to go do it again. And just in this year's World's Toughest, they had to approximate a certain poundage and get it right. So there's precedence for this in the industry, but never have we had to forage in order to fuel.
I like it.
And that is apocalyptic.
I have a wilderness survivor one as well, but Jack,
All right.
what you
Brack
got?
and I give that one a solid 7 outside the box.
I'm gonna go 7 as well.
I think it's a little too long. That's the only reason.
The practicality.
Yeah. 100 pounds of
hard.
wheatgrass made me laugh though. All right. So my event. This is just a buy-in. This is your.
What if you found
first...
Shilajit?
Dude, then it's like
you
a
just
star.
leave. You're gonna end
Did
up
that
with
just
so
make
much...
this an 8, not a 7 for you, Jack?
You get a
That can be event 2.
That's a Mario Kart star that you get.
Yeah. You can scope it out. All right. My event is just a buy-in and it's nasty. And I think this would actually be an interesting event. So everybody gets on an air bike, an Echo Rogue air bike, and you have 1 minute to burn as many calories as you can. And the number of calories that you do 100 minus that calories. And that's how many pounds you need to ruck one all-out lap of a 400. And you do it right afterwards. So if you do like 60 calories, you only have to use a 40-pound ruck. While if someone does 40, now they have to do 60. And everybody gets off right away, and you have to run a 400.
How only a 400?
Solid. This is just a buy-in, just to sell out, get a little fatigued early on.
I have questions about now coming from someone whose event is going to be really, really difficult to implement.
Yeah.
I have questions about the implementation. How quickly are you going to be able to be adding and removing weight to make the ruck accurate so that they can drop and go?
Let's round to the nearest 5. We'll just do that. You have like 10 backpacks, and
you're just gonna have piles set out.
Piles.
This is okay. Good.
Piles
Just to
outside
make
of the
it easy.
backpack or piles inside. So like
preloaded backpacks.
So you take
here's 10 backpacks that weigh 55. Here's 10 that weigh 50. Here's 10 that weigh 60.
Oh, so you don't have to take it or load it at all.
And that transition time counts towards your time.
I like it. That's good, and it's fast.
I think it's actually a
It'd be an
painful event,
ugly
but
run.
it's simple.
I like that. Me personally, I want that run a little longer, but the
Yeah, I
400
know.
with that is going to be nasty.
I
It'll be
like
really challenging.
800 distance, reminiscence of Battle Bunker, but I like 400 in that this is a 3-minute event.
I like it.
Because we're gonna have long ones. I was trying to think of a short one that's
for yourself.
actually challenging, because you have real events at Goofy Games, obviously, but like I'll have my goofy ones. But
I didn't have yeah, that's good. I like that one. Like I didn't have anything that's short. I think that's important.
Yeah. Okay. Second event, like I said, it's in Colorado Springs. Everything involves combat at some point. Everything involves a ruck. This is going to be a military ruck fight style, first to the top of the Manitou incline. You can do whatever you want to your
like a ladder
opponent.
match.
You can push them down the incline. You crawl out, whatever you want. You can get out hard to try to get ahead of people, but you're wearing a 40-pound ruck, and this is
you can wrestle
from the start. You can decide to hang back, let everybody else beat themselves up, walk over all the corpses that are laid on the steps throughout it, but choose your strategy accordingly. But you've basically got 2,000 feet vertical over the course of 1 mile with a ruck and fighting people. Everyone starts at the same time.
I love it. I think this is realistic.
What I thought you were saying is it was a race up, and then you had to fight at the top.
Or race up, and then you can start fighting on the way down, like kicking people who are still going slower on the way up.
I like fighting on the way up.
Yeah, I think it's King of the Mountain style.
King of the Mountain.
King of the Mountain. Up there. I do like that.
It would just be called King of the Mountain, or presented by GoRuck.
Yeah. Instead of King of the Ring, it's King of the Steps. Yeah.
I like it. Does the ruck have to stay on your back, or can you use it as a weapon?
Freestyle. You just need to bring it up.
You just can't drop
it to the top with you.
You just can't drop it.
Yeah, you can hit someone like a giraffe with its neck. You can like swing to the side, hit them with your ruck, whatever you want.
I like it.
I have one that's a little bit of a combo of what you guys both kind of laid out. I know we're gonna go snake draft style, but I need to go now.
No, let's throw out events.
a little bit less practical on this side, but I'm gonna lean into more what BK was up to. So it's gonna be 50 cal assault bike. This is like kind of like a couplet. 50 cal assault bike. Then you have to catch a fish with a rod. Then
Not your bare hands like Brack?
No, not bare hands. You get a rod. If you catch a fish however you wish, but you do get the tools to catch it. And 50 cal assault bike, build a fire. 50 cal assault bike, cook the fish for time.
How well?
You don't have to consume it?
Edible?
Or is there like
eating
a
it at the end
portion?
of it? Eating it, that counts as some time. You need to.
Yeah, cooking. All right, cooking and eating it, and like negative points, like we'll go beer mile style. Negative points if you throw it up.
And is that your substance for the rest of the day? You eat that fish. That's all you can eat for the rest of the competition.
That's it for the weekend. Yeah. No, just build it. You get to test up. You get to catch a fish, build a fire, plus the output on the assault bike. We could have a buy-in of like carrying the assault bike with the fishing rod, but again, derivative BK. Derivative.
I don't think it is derivative. What I would like having put together an assault bike recently, I would like you to have to have it in the packaging, and you have to tear out the packaging and assemble it. Which I recently had to do, and I ran into some issues.
It's not that easy.
I had a fan blade that was making contact with the chain.
Really?
Yeah, I had some issues. Like it's not a gimme event, guys. And I know you all have been thinking it is, and it's not.
I had a combat one too, but it's just like, I think GoRuck nailed it. I don't think it gets much goofier than wrestling with fake knives and guns. So I just had that as my wrestling and my combat event.
Just in honor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my next event, and it's serious. Rob Butler, I believe this was Rob Butler, was going to put on the ultimate endurance hybrid competition back in the day. And there were going to be over 100 stations along the way, each representing every facet of sport. It was going to be like a 20-mile trail race with waypoints along the way. So you had to come up and throw a football or a baseball through a hoop, let's say. And then later on, you had to shoot a free throw and a layup, a free throw, and a three-pointer. And then later on, you had to do archery. And later on, you had to shoot a rifle and a handgun. And later on, you had to, let's say, a mini CrossFit. Well, like every sport, you had to complete a skill of their sport or a task along the way of this. Maybe it was like a 15-mile race or something like this. And he was going to put on big money, to the point where we all started to lay our groundwork for how we were going to train for this back in the day. This is when we were living in Colorado. And then it just never came to fruition. But
No?
I want that event. 100 sports along the way of a trail run and completion for time.
Are there that many sports? Are we going to have to like high-lie, like hurling,
I like the highlight
curling,
reference.
cricket?
Yeah, I think I mean, you can have bowling,
disc golf,
you can have
ultimate,
pool, you can have darts.
Ultimate,
I think you should have to throw a frisbee. I mean, you can pull from everything.
So we're going like 400 meters separated, because there are definitely more than 20 sports over this 20
Maybe
miles.
this is 100K. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't formalized it yet. We're still trying to find a venue for this, but and maybe you're doing loops and coming back to
Maybe it's a
I want it to be grid style.
Yep.
So that the spectators can watch people at every station.
Gotta be grid style.
Negative
So I'm
points for being
thinking a
good to
Clover
watch.
loop. Okay, now that
Cloverfield
I'm
loop.
talking, I'm having more ideas.
Yeah.
So I want grid style, and I want Clover, but I want this to be sunflower, where your one loop come in, next loop come in, next loop, and you're looping behind the loops, and you never run the same step twice, but you're constantly looping and progressing your way around the sunflower, but always back to the grid.
Back to the grid. I like it. Because then it's I was thinking it could potentially be like a backyard style, where you have like a certain amount of, you have 30 minutes to do a sunflower and then do a highlight. I'm out of highlight terminology. I don't know what you do in highlight. Neotech Stacklong ball.
Throw it.
Well, you serve it, I believe. Do you serve it or pitch it in highlight?
That's what I mean. I'm not sure. Then maybe you get a highlight pitch.
Isn't that like slinging? Like it's kind of like a banana shape thing.
The ball. It's a hard ball.
It's like 150
50
miles an hour.
And
like
you throw it against the wall, I think, and it comes
Yeah.
back at you. It's like handball. It's like super dangerous.
Most dangerous game.
Gotcha. I like it.
I like it too. I'd
Good.
be interested.
I think that's a fantastic way to test fitness. I think that the order of operations would be very interesting. Like you might
Yeah,
want
what
the
closes
more
it?
explosive stuff early on so that you're not just like
There's not
barely
going to be a
able to-
dunk.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Because I was gonna say a dunk in mile 20 versus mile 1. Like most people can't even dunk.
And
Period.
that's
Set up a
starter for
dunk.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well rounded. I like it.
Jack, what do
So
you
like
got?
a swimming one might be that you have to swim the length of a pool underwater. It's not like a time-based thing. It's a skill-based. You have to
It should always
complete
be
25
accomplishable.
meters in butterfly. We
Mhm.
don't care how you get there, but you have to keep the skill the whole way. Like it's completion based, not time based. You're rewarded for doing it efficiently.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Like for firearms, you can shoot all day long, but after 10 shots, we're charging you $1 a bullet or whatever.
It's up there.
Yeah, the shooting.
Or we're using
probably
22
100.
long rifle, and then no one gets charged for it.
Jack, what do you got?
All right. My event.
However, just keep in
we're not
mind
done.
you're
not
fueling
happen.
this from your foraging.
This is still the same weekend.
So you're
Yeah.
probably rucked up. You can take the ruck off for all the events.
well, if
though.
it's sunflower, you might have can you have an aid station if you're going to go past the same
yeah,
places?
but like your Tupperware is full of your shilajit and wheatgrass or toads or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you
But
can
don't
have
to
it.
carry it.
Well, I don't know. Rucking is pretty functional.
That's true.
TBD.
It's
Yeah.
true.
So sunflower style grid based every sport that we can come up with and do inside of the grid.
I like it because we can
Nice.
even like
Yeah.
break apart the Deca and Hyrox stations. One station should be like a sled push.
Fantastic.
We can get there. We can get to 100.
All right. My event, you guys seen Price is Right?
I have.
You know the spin the wheel where you try to stop it on a dollar or whatever.
Yep.
We're gonna
A
have
cumulative dollar.
we're gonna have one of those, and it's in increments of 5, and you're gonna spin it, and that's how many reps you're gonna have to do of wall balls. You're gonna have a second one where you have 20 through 40, and that's the weight, or I guess for women it would be 14 through 30, or what. You will have 2 separate wheels. One of them is the number of reps, and then the other one is the weight that you have to do it to, and a third one will be the target height, where you might have to do it from 8 to 15 feet. So
I
imagine
like
doing
it.
100 wall balls with
a
40
30.
pounds to 15 feet.
This is gold.
And this
It
is
has
just head
nothing
to head.
do with fitness. It's
This is
just
head to head.
stupid.
You might be a better spinner, and you're just gonna go faster than the people who are shitty spinners.
And you're like, hey, I worked hard on my spinning.
Exactly.
I don't
That's
see why
all it
everyone.
is.
If you had what it takes to be good at spinning, you would have showed up. But
One
since you're not
round.
here, you ain't it.
One round. That's it for time.
I love it.
I do like that.
I like it a lot.
And it's very fair.
It's as fair as it gets.
Yeah.
As fair as it
Everybody
gets.
has the same chance to land on a 0 or 100. You can do 0. You can land on the 0.
You land on a 0. You're gonna have 0
Yeah.
on the board. Yeah, you're gonna
You
have
just
0 and be
win.
like, I am that guy when it comes
Yeah.
to spinning this big silly wheel
Damn
next to
right.
Drew Carey.
Okay, so what's the highest number you can get for reps?
100.
100.
So what if you get 100 reps at 0 height? How does that work out? Like, how do you complete those?
Sit-ups.
Air squats.
Just doing sit-up.
Okay,
Air squats with the heavy
Yeah.
ball.
I just want to
All
make sure this
squats.
is above board.
That's a good.
I
That's a
think
good qualifier.
I think
We're
that you're just
prepared.
rewarded for being good. Like if you get a 0, you don't have to do any. You just cross the finish line.
Mm. That might make it a little bit.
All right, we'll start at 5. You have to do 5, and the minimum height is 8 feet or 9 feet, I guess. Yeah.
Something where you have to release the ball.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
All right, so I have 2 potential finishers to this.
Okay.
And one is the finisher and one is the actual finisher. All right, because like any great Goofy games, the finish line is not the finish line.
Correct.
The final one is we have to run a certain length. I would prefer it to be the length of an entire state, but I don't know if that's logistical or not.
Oh, well, Alaska
state?
versus Rhode Island
Yeah,
is
which
a little
state?
bit different.
I don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. This is a think tank.
Jack,
Yeah.
what's the average distance of all the states
I
in
don't know,
terms of
it's-
length?
If we're looking at 3,000 miles wide, roughly for the U.S., and probably about 5 states tall, and
This is
then
off the
I don't know, probably like 400 to 500 miles wide. That's
Okay.
my guess.
Anyway, I
West-
want to run
West
an
Coast is gonna
ultra
skew it.
on the shoulder ditch of an interstate. Because
Mhm.
every time I'm driving, I'm watching this and we're always driving flat, but
Mhm.
it goes like this on the side of the road. You would get a ton of vert and a lot of technical running, and it'd be really easy to have support staff go alongside of it and set up. You could have your crew sitting there with all your wheatgrass with them the whole time. Like, you have whatever you want here, but I would like to race interstate to interstate.
Okay.
So you're just doing like Trans-America to end this. Like,
yeah, and I don't know how far we're going. It might be a 50K, might be a 50 miler. It might be states, border to border. I'm not sure, but I want to run an interstate ultra off road.
Which state has the most dense jungle?
And see, I don't think we want that. We actually want something with some shoulder on the side.
No, I'm saying
so
that's where we need to start somewhere with Hawaii, the jungle. You say,
yeah, I'm gonna go with Hawaii.
Yeah. So you're running an
run across one of the
maybe we're on the Kamehameha Highway.
It's still on the highway.
Yeah.
But in Wisconsin, I think on any like 1 mile stretch, you could get hundreds of feet of vert in certain parts of the state because it's so varied. It would be the most technical ultra you ever run, but you're never more than like 10 feet from pavement. It'd be very interesting. So I want an interstate ultra. However, here's the twist. The podium that gets there, they have 3-pronged, so a triangle shape of your trophies. So like one's here, one's 50 meters over here, and one's 50 meters over here. It's an equilateral triangle, and it's sitting here with your trophy and all of your cash that you've earned in ones. And on go, you begin stealing money from each other 1 bill at a time.
So this is the combat. Is there a defense that you could?
They rip.
Your only defense is endurance and speed.
Perfect.
And you go until one person's out of money. And then it turns into one-on-one, and the winner earns all the money.
Okay.
So it's just a shuttle run, essentially. Unlimited time, 1 bill at a time until you have all the bills.
Until the other people quit. I like it.
That's how you like mental resilience.
Okay. That's a great way to finish.
You're not allowed to fuel.
And the wheatgrass is empty by this point?
Everything's gone. Yeah, there's no water. There's
you've run across the state.
Yeah.
This might be the next
detour to it. Can you take
this is the ceremony. Everyone shows up thinking they're done. And nope.
Yeah.
Here's your money. You can be done, but you don't get money. And so there's no fuel. It is just a pure survival event.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get your money at the end of my event.
I like it. All right. I got one. This is monostructural because usually there's some monostructural ones that are just like one specific event. And I want you guys' help on this. So I have 2 different options for this. It's a 1 mile swim with a kickboard. Just kicking.
Okay.
That's it.
For a mile. Or we could do a 5K.
That's the event.
That's the event.
I thought you were going like mile into mile into mile. Like
no,
first
1 mile
with your feet,
kickboard.
then with your arm.
Nope,
okay.
Just kickboard. Just make it super boring, super slow. Or 5K aqua jog.
Why not both?
Because that's too much. We're getting ultra. We want to reward.
Bracken just ran across an interstate.
Dude, a 5K aqua
you
jog.
Never cross it.
How long is that? That would take forever.
I know that would.
Are you allowed to cup your hands in the water, or do hands have to stay out of the water?
For aqua jog?
If you touch the bottom, you have to start over.
You have
to. Are you allowed to like?
You're holding those. You're holding the dumbbell. Those like aqua dumbbells.
Okay.
Yeah. So like nice. It takes the cupping out of it. Which one? Which one? Kickboard or?
I would aqua jog.
Aqua jog. Yeah.
But kickboard is more functional if you're ever in a shipwreck and all you can grab is one piece of like door.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
And we're testing reality. If you're in a shipwreck.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's like, what happens if you're in the water, but you don't have your hands?
How about like 100 meter all out?
Yeah, you're like carrying a baby that you rescued off the boat.
You're carrying a baby, and like there's no.
How warm's the water?
Where did I say my event was? I said California, so probably cold.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not warm there.
This isn't a pool.
But that's you want it cold. You want them uncomfortable. You can't have them comfortable.
Warm might be worse. You don't self-regulate your temperature.
Mm-hmm.
I want thermal regulation.
I'm gonna tell people it's cold, but then it's gonna be like bath water.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I was prepared for cold," and I'm like, "Suck it up, suck it up, dude." Sometimes it's warm and comfortable. Sometimes that's what you have to deal with.
All right, I've got another event. Okay. All right. Well, you each had a fish event except for me so far. All right. We're gonna be on the edge of a lake, on a dock, let's just say. So you
A
have
reservoir if it's in Colorado.
nice stable just above the water right there. All right.
Okay.
Every single person is going to have a fish attached to a hook, and you're on an air bike, and you have to pedal until you bring it in. It's like 100 feet offshore, and this fish does not want to come in.
It's like a marlin.
Exactly. Oh yeah, like a swordfish, some big fish, and you've got to fight this thing.
Well, that's saltwater, Jack. This is unrealistic in Colorado.
Okay,
What's
transport?
What's a big fighting freshwater
all right,
fish?
a giant
This is a
bass.
Kirk question.
We'll talk to Kirk.
We need
Yeah.
Kirk.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've needed
A
Kirk.
big freshwater fish doesn't defeat the purpose. You're just trying. You have a struggle fight against a very powerful fish, and
A sturgeon.
With your
sure,
arms
something.
and legs? Is it just legs? Did you say? Or
No, this is on an air bike.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can go. Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just fighting it
or
on
if
an air
you want,
bike
we could
and
do
it
this on the rower.
spins it
Like
in.
it's attached to the fan base.
gotta be a
Rower
salt
would be
bike.
more interesting.
Rower,
That'd be
rower would be
hard.
interesting.
You'd
Yeah.
have, your cadence level would have to be crazy.
Yeah, you can't slow
You'd be like
down.
50
like-
strokes per minute.
Yeah.
Or
I'd
real
like
powerful.
to see skier though.
Skier could work. Just that type
right,
of
yeah.
cadence. I like
My
this.
thought was to attach this to your waist, and you just have to run the opposite direction and try to like outbeat the fish.
Also
on
not
land
bad.
versus water. But
I actually like that better.
Yeah.
But I like that because then we could potentially assemble.
Yeah, you're in a static camera zone. Like that's the thing. We want the good viewership.
And
I like it.
if you couldn't get away with it, you could just like attach a 10-pound weight underwater and have to drag it in.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
like
That honestly,
You could
might
tell
show
people
up one
it's
of
a
these
fish.
days. That's not like throw a thing in there and we'll have it attached to the ski erg, and whoever gets it up first has to
Yeah,
Then
dredge
do,
the
like,
lake.
15 snatches or something.
Okay. All right. So, Rich, where I thought you were going with this is where I'm going for my last event that I have in mind. And this is the Trial of Miles.
Nice.
All right. So, we're going to pick a distance that is relatively challenging, and every 400 meters has a different way of completing it. So, it'll probably be on a track. Maybe it's in the salt flats like Dylan did. Where's that, Michael?
That's Michael.
So 1/4 mile yoke carry, 1/4 mile walking lunges, 1/4
He's a
mile
strongman.
tire flip,
Mike Moralia did the
Marathon.
strongman
Yeah.
marathon.
1/4 mile handstand walk, 1/4 mile cartwheels, 1/4 mile bear crawl.
You're
1/4
literally
mile-
stealing my event that I had next, Bracken. But
Not
Good.
literally.
Let's collaborate.
and we come up with every possible way of locomoting in a goofy manner, and it is the race to the finish.
I like it. So it's like the marathon for just
It's like
exercising.
that.
Functional fitness
Yeah.
marathon.
Yeah.
Jack, what was
I was gonna do the slow 5K where you have to do an inchworm 400, then a cartwheel 400, then a handstand 400, then a lunges 400, like
Mhm.
just the 400 by death.
we
No one's gonna
need
survive that.
we need an inchworm
broad
in
jumps.
a functional fitness event that's happening.
Yeah.
I like it because we're starting to see these type of events where they're on tracks.
This will happen.
Something like this is going to happen, and
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
You could do a sled push for one of the 400s, a sled pull for another 400.
Because you could just do it in down backs. It doesn't have to be around a track. It could just
No,
be
I want pushing around the corners.
push it around the track.
And you've got to deal with the friction, just like Hyrox. Like no two courses
if you
are
put
alike.
if you put a tank on and try to do corners on the tank.
Yeah. Like you might go in like lane 9 if you want like a little larger radius, but
I like it. Okay.
And then I
got
said I didn't have any more, but I could do this in 30 seconds. So
Okay.
assuming this takes place in Vegas or Reno,
Mhm.
the kickoff event is a wife carry. However, you have to show up having met someone and married them in the previous 12 hours. So like you check in at say like 8 p.m., race starts at 8 a.m. You have to hit the town and get shotgun married and then show up and do a wife carry
Oh,
like
it's
Friday
not-
or something.
It's not like already it's like you have to
No, there's like
find
this
someone
is hunting
willing.
and gathering. Yeah. And
Your
it can't be
food
like
and
you've
your
survival.
convinced them like, hey, I'm going to win some money. You have to actually get someone inebriated enough to marry you, legitimate marriage, and do the wife carry
legitimate.
race.
Yeah. And the women's division, they have to find a husband.
Yeah.
I
It's easy.
assume.
It's easy.
Choose your partner, whoever.
It's good. All right. I got one more.
I-
Last one. Did else you
Yep.
got some, Jack?
I've got
Or-
another one. I'll wait unless
Okay.
you want to end it.
No. You can end it. And then because we got to write. This is getting my brain's starting to hurt.
Yeah.
All right. So this is called the domestic dash.
I
So
didn't know where you're going with that.
we're starting in a grocery store, like a supermarket sweep style, where you have to
Yeah.
get specific events and then specific groceries and food items, and as fast as you can, get it to self checkout. Check that out. You got to run it to the car. Your car has a flat tire. You got to change the tire. Then you have to drive that car through like a specific course with cones. Then you have to park the car and take it into a house. And then there's going to be a dog in there. You have to make the dog sit, or probably like a golden retriever or something. So like a good dog. And then you just have to put the
So you
groceries
buy
away.
buy some dog treats also.
You could buy, I mean, it could. You know the dog's going to be there. You got to get it to sit. Then you got to put the groceries down for time.
Do you have to like put them appropriately in the freezer, the fridge, whatever?
This is the worst event.
That's
It
the
had
most.
potential.
It's the most practical event. It's the most real life scenario that anybody can come across. I mean, other than running the rower to the top of the mountain, but outside of that, like this is like real life. I want to see who's good at real life. Okay.
See,
That's
now
what I'm about.
Where I thought you were getting when you said the grocery store dash, I thought you were gonna line everybody up and you'd have to weave up and down every single aisle, like start in the aisle 1, then go up to aisle 2, then back and forth do a hairpin turn around 3, like head to head against everybody. That would've been
Supermarket sweep.
Supermarket sweep.
There should be a diaper change, I think.
We could add something like that.
Here's the thing, though. You can't make them do it on command. So it's going to have to be an adult.
You can
It's
change
the
it
only way to
volunteer.
control for this.
Volunteer.
Yeah. Because then not only are you prepared to be like a family man, but you are prepared to take care of your parents as they age, which is a rite of passage.
Yeah, double-sided. I'm okay with the diaper change. Adult diaper change.
Applications will go out for that as well.
Probably won't sign up for this one, but
No, I mean we're not going to announce this one.
yeah,
But
it's
because
a
you need to-
surprise event.
You need to be prepared for life, and that's what
Yeah.
we're hoping. That's what I'm trying to find, the person that is most suited for real life.
When
Gotcha.
this
5K
entire
aqua
time
job.
I've been waiting for you to do your yard games event. And so by
I'm
that,
about to.
I'm disappointed in this.
That's a good one. That's real life practical stuff. But Jack's got a yard games event.
Okay. So this is the lawn mowing beer mile. So you're in a neighborhood. You have to mow every single lawn, or every single part of someone's lawn.
How much acreage are we
Drink-
talking here?
Wait,
It's a
every lawn or
standard,
every part of someone's
Standard
lawn?
10,000 square foot lot, something like that, quarter acre, 50
Quarter
an
acre.
whatever
How
the
many-
standard, a
how many-
normal.
There's hundreds
A
of houses in my
neighborhood?
neighborhood.
You do
Quarter less than quarter acre.
you're doing
standard in
one,
the city.
and then you go and drink a beer, and you're doing this with a ruck on also,
What
and
kind
then
of beer? Like a all day IPA?
7-8%.
It has to be a yard
7 or
beer if you're
8%? Has to be
heavy because we're going for
Yard-
precision.
If you're mowing a lawn, it's a yard beer.
Got to be a yard beer. 3 to
Okay,
4%.
I'm trying to alter the accuracy of the lawn mowing, basically.
So like have a shot with it.
Okay, well that
yeah,
that
shot
was
and a
gonna be-
beer.
All right,
Man
Shot
all
of
right.
beer is fine, but we're
Yeah,
not
okay,
standing
fine,
on
we'll do
the
a
yard
yard
beer.
beer.
That's
No one's
fine.
drinking
You
double
guys
IPAs.
you guys know more about beer. You guys can set the beer for that.
We know more
All right.
about
Thank you.
trashy men.
Yeah. There
Thank
you go. And then you have to, after you're done with your first one, you have to go to the neighbor, and you do this 4 times. So presumably you do 4 beers, 4 lawn mowing, and then every single person grades you on a scale of 1 to 10 how happy they are with the job that you did.
Nice. Some subjectivity in there.
Yep.
We needed
And
that.
then you have to run with a ruck the total weight. So if you get 4 10s, you get a 40. It's 40 minus 0. So, but if you get like a 5, now you're running with 20 pounds on yours. So it's your grade minus the amount of your score, and you have to do a 5K with a ruck with that at the end of it.
All right.
I don't like
Get
it.
some yard work in there.
It's okay. I like
It's
the
not,
yard work.
It's not the idea. I just was waiting for the yard games, and I'm not getting them, and I'm disappointed.
That could be a whole
Gotcha.
different thing. These are goofy games. That will wrap us up. Extra goofy at the end here. We got some real stuff to talk about these next couple of weeks, which will be fun. Next week, we'll talk about Stockholm Deca Fit World Championships. Loaded schedule for next week. BK, what do we got on TRP?
Well, we have an episode coming out with Ron Mann. and Matt Baxter. Ron Mann is legendary coach of NAU. Matt Baxter ran there, was runner-up at
Nice.
Nationals, and now runs professionally for Hoka. And they came on and talked
Nice.
about the legacy of the program. They just wrote a book about basically the NAU legacy, culture, lifestyle, why it is, how it became to be what it is. We
Sweet.
had them on.
You mentioned John Howell, who ran there.
I did not,
Oh,
but I maybe mentioned John Yatsko,
Yasko. There you
who
go.
I
Who's
had an
NAU?
hour-long conversation with prior to this, just to see if I needed to know anything.
Sweet.
Interesting.
Do you know
Good
that
one.
John was a captain there? He went from a walk-on to scholarship to team co-captain.
What a
And he's
beast.
civil engineering major.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's not using it.
Doesn't matter. Listed on the website.
One time I got somebody reach out to me about like a publicist or whatever. It's like, would you like to have Ben Rosario on your show? I was like, fuck yeah, I would like that. And then they probably did a little bit more digging into the podcast. They're like, never mind. And then I just never heard back.
That
Like,
sucks.
dang, that would have been sweet.
Brutal.
That'd been
They
great.
reached out just to insult you.
Yeah. They're like, too bad. I'm like, oh man.
Just
Uh,
kidding.
Great.
Anyway, afterwards, we stopped recording because I'd asked him what he's running CIM, Baxter is. And I'm like, you got the twos or you got a proto? He's like, cut the feed. Turn the cam off. He's like, I got the prototype. And he showed me the Rocket
The Hokas?
X3.
Oh yeah.
He's like, this is like the first, this has a tip to it. It's got, you showed the bottom, it looked like Adios. It had like cutouts and notches and
Really?
exposed stuff. And he's like, it's so funky compared to the Rocket X2 that I don't think I'm even going to race in it. So I'm not used to how it tips me forward. And I don't know if I can trust it for a marathon. So
Ooh,
they've got
sounds good for me.
in the pipeline.
Their
something
foam is
coming.
good. Their foam is good. The I don't know how, I feel like they died kind of fast. The Rocket X2.
Really?
I don't get the same pop out of them that I had in the beginning. And I don't think I wore them that much. So
That sucks.
yeah, might need some durability. So maybe these ones will. But you know, with these super shoes, it's kind of what you get. It's kind of what you get.
I want to hear the listeners give your own Goofy event. You know, we spent half an hour talking about it. We want to hear the best, not just grade us, but like give us some suggestions. We didn't hit every good Goofy event out there. We want to know what we missed.
If
And
you,
to be honest, I think like we have 3 or 4 events in there that could actually comprise of
decent.
legit Goofy games. And I would be interested in putting this on.
Yeah.
Not all of them, not most of them, but a version of like 2 or 3 of them.
A few of
BK,
them would be horrible.
I would say BK, yours are probably the hardest to pull off.
The forage for your food and run across the interstate. Or
yeah,
Nothing's
that's
along.
not gonna
impossible.
happen.
Nothing's impossible. So yeah, if you listen on Spotify, we will drop a poll in here for you to drop your suggestions for a Goofy event, and we'll talk about it next week,
Or write it in YouTube at the bottom.
or drop it on YouTube. Yeah, other podcasts, Apple, they just don't really care to make their product any better. So go ahead and listen on Spotify because that's better. And are you guys Spotify Premium?
No, not
No.
anymore.
Goodness gracious. They have an absurd collection of audiobooks now that come
Really?
along. Yeah. Like with the subscription, you get 15 hours of listening time per month, which is like 2 books, which is more than I would be able to consume. But like, I thought they were going to be like terrible titles, but they're like all the newest stuff. Like it's actually awesome.
Oh, I might have to look into that.
So go listen on Spotify.
More you know.
Go listen on Spotify. All right. Talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.